we were from college town, you know what I mean? So I was doing like belly buttons and tongues and shit, and like there's nipples and penises and all. Like we're talking about Houston, you know what I mean? Like I just went from a town that's like back then was like 100,000 people to like 3 million people.
It's all
It's been sitting there too long. All right, well, I'm about to do this dab. We're here with me.
So this week we're talking with LT. We're doing the origin story of LT. Luigi Taylor Woods.
Large terps. Loud terps. And that's what LT stands for, loud terps, son.
Okay. And since we're interviewing... we're interviewing LT, we have a guest with us to help crack the egg that is LT. Go ahead and tell us.
It's Bowser. Hello, Bowser.
What's your God-given first name?
Oh, it's Matt Bowser.
Get to the good part.
Tattoo the Lou.
Yeah, we here at Tattoo the Lou studio. Bowser's the goat apprentice. Here, let me help you.
Do it like Elvis would do.
We're in the heart of the GRV.
So we're talking with LT.
Didn't you used to? What was that? What was that band you played in?
Yeah, I was in multiple hardcore.
Dry Kill Logic?
Bands. No. Spine Shank.
LT toured with
Hammer Drill. I believe you were the
weren't
lead vocalist for Hammer Drill, weren't you?
No.
You weren't in Screwdriver, were you?
No. No, certainly not.
Are you the G.G. Allen of Vermont?
No.
What would that be exactly?
I'm the Vermont of GG.
Huh. Okay, makes sense.
I've been called the songbird of my generation.
He was not in Screwdriver. That is a total joke. I just tried to think of the most shocking thing to say. So
in fact, I fail in any renovation sense. I fail.
This is
not
just a
get
real
that in the
big
Wikipedia
Q-tip,
or
really.
nothing.
Huh? What?
But so we got it's gonna be fun. We're gonna talk with LT, find out what he's all about.
Oh man,
I've known him for a long time, but it'll be fun to talk officially on here, you know.
We have known each other a long time.
Yeah, I'll run down my backstory about how I know LT.
There you go.
I went to junior high and high school with LT's sister, Amberly, good friend. We were all like the same friend crew.
Friend of the show.
So LT was actually the first tattooer I had heard of or had kind of seen, you know, besides like one shop I went into with my dad when I was a little kid. It was like Amberly's wild brother was a tattooer. And I'm trying to remember. But I mean, so then I kind of seen him around, but then I got to know him a little bit better. Really talked to him when I was working in tattoo shops when I first started. And what convention was that with Roman and then Stu?
It was the old school convention.
That was like 12 years ago, I think, 13 or so. It was a while ago.
So I didn't look on my phone, but no, I don't. Actually, I know the exact date. It would have been in November. It would have been like around my birthday, around like the beginning of November 8th or 10th or something like that, because that's always when the show was. And then it was in 2010 because I got sober in 12/26 of 2010 because, we partied that weekend that we were here. And
Stories from the convention.
That was a wild time I got to observe.
It was super wild.
I believe it changed several people's lives, that partying that weekend.
It did, bro. Yeah, no, that was a big turning point for me. When I got back home, it took like another month to like pretty much spiral 100% out of control. But like, we came here and got fucking down, and like Tim Bohr came to that show too, and man, it was a huge show. Tony Rommel, I flew him out from New York. I brought Roman. I set up that whole thing. Josh Martin shared the booths with us, and Terry Dutra. And
yeah, I remember those.
Man, Roman had a line around the fucking building of people like trying to see him, like in the fucking thing. They were just lined up trying to see Roman. Obviously, like he won all the awards.
Yeah.
Like Bill DeMichael, like was like, oh, you guys should have fucking told me what blah blah blah. And fucking Tony Rommel didn't like Bill because they used to work at International together. He's like, fuck you, Bill. Nobody cares about you, sucker. He's like, we didn't come here for you.
I love
like,
tattoo beef, man.
Bro, like, Bill's a motherfucking photographer, bro. And, like, the only thing he ever really did was leech on to fucking Lyle. Yeah. And, you know, I'll give him this. He did bring the show here, and they did do it for, like, 13 years. But that dude's fucking, he's not a tattooer, and, you know, like, it's for tattooers. Like, I don't know. That's what I believe. Like,
yeah, especially
I'm gonna stand up for tattooing.
I'm standing up.
You know what I mean? Like
tattooing, especially that show too. Like with the history of that show and everything. You know.
Yeah, the old school show. I mean, that's how I got it from Lyle, because Bill. Well, they were in an argument. Bill didn't do his part, which was like do all the contract stuff. The hotel called me, and I called Lyle. Like, I ain't got to talk to Bill. Bill ain't a tattooer, bro. I only got one person that I got to respect, and that's my predecessor, which is Lyle Tuttle, right? Because, like, he came before me in tattooing, and, like, he deserves for me to call him. So I called him. We had a conversation about it, and he told me that he thought it was very admirable that I called him, and that he doesn't give out blessings, but if he was, this was the blessing. And the only thing is that I couldn't use their name, and it sounded like I was going to put on a reputable tattoo show, and he thought that was admirable also, and to carry on. And then he passed away like a year later anyway, so like I felt like it was all serendipity for real, like it was meant to happen like that. And you know, and then I just rebranded it the STL Classic, which I felt like
it's a good name.
Yeah, it worked out good.
I like
we're on pause with that show right now, but
I always dreamt of putting on a convention. I was envious of your conventions. I thought about doing like a small one.
You know, you're just the type of dude that can do that. You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. Like, I was just talking about this today. Like, I'm getting so you can. I put in the like $30,000 worth of work with Roman, like over a 1 year period where I lost money, like about $30,000, and like that wasn't good for my relationship, my home, or all kind of shit, right? Like, and I just kept traveling and doing shit. Well, I didn't really. I mean, obviously, I was trying to get somewhere, and I think I got wherever I was trying to go at the time. But I didn't realize how great it was going to be later on, and what it would do for me later on to be able to have met all these people, done all these things. You know, now I can call up. Man, I'm like 3 phone calls away from touching about anybody in the tattoo industry at this point. And I was almost like that, like in 2016 or something. Yeah. So like for me, like that $30,000 was nothing. Now that I look back on it. Now, of course, like I said, I lost relationships and a lot of things have been neglected, but I gave it all up for tattooing a million times over. So that's just what this is for me.
That goodwill and meeting people and stuff. A lot of people, like, they hate on that shit. I love the people I've met in tattooing. It has brought me the best relationships I've had, you know, like friends, people. I think it's great. It's a social, you know, there's always like you're Mr., you know, you guys are too cool. It's like, no, I just like nice people. And if we all do the same shit, why not be nice to each other? Now, of course, there's lots of douchebags, but they get sorted out pretty quick, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't just your friend because you're a tattooer either, but
No.
that's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way around it. It's like we have that tie that. I mean, I was a fan of your band, Filter.
Yeah.
And
hey man, that is a nice shirt. I'm just saying.
But no, that's what I think networking is such an important thing that I've always known. I mean, even back then, I was like, oh, LT knows what he's doing with that. I mean, shit, that convention, the infamous convention where they threw all Stu's stuff away. I remember. So you had this, Roman did that seminar out there in St. Charles.
Yep.
And we went, and he was nice. And I get along with everybody pretty much, so we were friendly. And he came up to me I was talking to some other tattooers who were young, newer tattooers, and they're like, oh, shit, Roman's here, And I was like, yeah. And he walked up to me. He's like, Matt, we partied so hard last night, dude. And he was like, he's tired and shit. And then he just walked away, and they're like, what? I was like, oh, yeah, I got to know him yesterday. He's a nice guy. It's like you just talk to people, and people are friendly back usually, so.
We all put our pants on the same. Well, not everybody.
Yeah, I lay on my back, legs up.
Special cases out there for sure.
The best tattooer in the world is just a dude that's really good at his job. I mean, the best plumber in the world, I feel, has equal natural ability, hard work, and skill as the best tattooer. I mean, it just happens to be what we're into.
Yeah, I don't think that I knew what networking. I kind of feel like I fumbled through a lot of this, but like now I understand and I can reflect on things, and I'm like, oh, and like I'm getting ready to put in hella work this year, and like I was just telling my son about it today that I'm like, I'm gonna do so much shit that like the universe has to give me back something. I'm going to do so much work, and it's going to be so positive, and it's going to be so everything that, like, I don't know what it all means in the end, but I know that it's going to, if it does half of what I'm hoping it does, that's good.
That's how I feel about, like, I didn't realize that I was networking either, for a long time. I was just like, I just like people, and I'm prone to be nice to people and want to, like, make people laugh and shit. So I feel like all the years of like putting that type of work in, it pays off in one way or the other. Like I feel like right now, there's a bunch of people I could call and be like, I need $5,000, and I've always been nice or have helped people, and they'd be like, oh, okay, or whatever. So, or if you're doing a show or something, like it's.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, I can go get a loan at the bank now. I'm like a real person.
Pillar of the community.
Pillar of community, actually.
So when I know some of, because I talk a lot and obsessively listen to details, but what was your beginning in tattooing, if you mind?
Beginning. Well, like when did I start tattooing?
Yeah, like what was your first tattoo? I know a lot of the
my first tattoo I got when I was like 13.
You still got it?
Oh yeah. That's cool.
Nice.
That's pretty tight for 13.
It was embellished, but it was done with a sewing needle inside of a straw that had been heated up like probably a Sonic straw. It was red for sure. We got the red. They were stronger for some reason.
Sturdy straw.
And this dude named Matt Robb fucking made this fucking rotary prison rig. We did it at his house. I probably drank some Mad Dog or something. I was 13, 14 years old. And then I think I got this, not this, but there was a heart with wings up here.
Okay.
And a banner and shit.
A heart with wings, you say?
Yeah, the 80s. It was like an 80s like album cover probably, kind of, but not really. It was.
Styles are fluid, Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the banner was empty because I didn't know who I was really going to put in there yet. At 14, I hadn't really made the full decision.
But you had the long sight, the long view to be.
Well, I mean, I've got several women's names on me, so it is. it must have been something that was etched in me from the beginning. I'm a fucking sicko.
I like that you put that thought into it. You're like, I'm going to leave this spot open for the special someone.
Well, I didn't want to ruin my life. You know,
Future X. That's what you could put it in.
So, and then this is the best one. I got this fucking rose down here, which kind of looks like a rocket ship. I'll just show it to you later. It got so infected and fell out, and it was all done by Matt Robb in his basement kitchen. And actually, it was in his apartment, his parents' apartment, in his room, which we skateboarded and shit. So it's like,
Was it in Colombia?
it was Indian Hill shit, bro.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Does
Yeah,
Matt
yeah.
Robb still tattoo?
Matt Robb does not tattoo.
I thought he was in the biz.
No. He was like freelance, so to speak. You know, I mean, we weren't full adults yet, and it wasn't legal in Colombia at all. Tattooing didn't really exist in Colombia back then. So, got that. And I want to say like 14, 15. I'm hungover one Saturday morning or Sunday morning. My foot's like hanging out of my fucking like bed, and like it's so infected and so bad. But my dad comes in to like holler at me about something, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Like, I wasn't supposed to have tattoos. He had already like taken rigs away from me, and like, because I had tattooed some people too, and I fucked them all up.
Sure.
Yeah, so I got caught with that, and then he like looked into like, then he was like, "What the fuck?" And I had to show him all of them. He's like, because he's like, "I'm gonna get it lasered," and this is like a million years ago, right? So like, it was like $1,000 a square. He's like, "Well, guess you're fucking fucked now," you know, or some shit. "You're an idiot like me," you know, like. So, tattoos out of the house at 15 by people. I mean, I talk about, I have a hot stuff up here on my shoulder. My dad has a hot stuff that he got in Juarez, Mexico when he was 17 years old.
Nice.
Paid $7 for it. I know the whole story, and the reason why is because this is what I believe anyway. It's the first tattoo I ever seen, and I've been infatuated with it since the beginning. And like when he used to, like when we go down like the Ozarks when I was a kid and shit like this, bro, I would stand at like when we walked down the strip, he would have to like come back and get me because I would be at like Ted's at the window, and like they'd have to like try to like I'd be trying to get in, all this shit. And like back then you couldn't get in, and the Lake of the Ozarks was really the only place that you could get tattooed in Missouri back then. Maybe Kansas City and St. Louis, but Columbia had an ordinance where they weren't allowing it. So and then Lakeside opened in Columbia when I was 18. But then Steve at Tattoo U opened, he was open too, and I got tattooed there when I was 18 by Steve. That was my very first professional tattoo. And I got a Judy Parker Scorpion.
Nice.
That's actually pretty solid, man.
No. The Judy Parker Scorpion is right there.
Oh, I see it.
Hey, it's still there. You
It's a
can see it.
$50 minimum. And then I had Dr. Jimmy.
Oh.
So Dr. Jimmy,
Yeah.
later on I said, "Hey, how about to put like a couple scorpions around that scorpion?" He goes, "Nah, you fucking outgrew that. You're a pussy back then. Now you're going to get a fucking real tattoo." And fucking, he's like, "I'll just put another scorpion over top of that." And he did, and it was fire, man. This thing was Phil Fairweather Inc., Dermapro or whatever you want to call it. And back then, that was the heat. I mean, it's gone now. Like, it was yellow and, like, maroon. He's like, "I'm going to put an electric desert behind it," and fucking...
His tattoos were cool, especially for back then. The ones I saw were like,
It would have been heat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, back then, it would have been heat. I mean,
yeah, and it's still cool. But yeah, like he was the second or third tattooer I ever, first tattooer ever that spoke to me was that dude, was Dr. Jimmy.
Yeah, I love Dr. Jimmy. I spent a lot of time with Dr. Jimmy, man.
He passed, yeah.
Yeah. Throat
R.I.P.
cancer. It's been, like, he's probably been dead, like, 10, 12 years. I think.
Really?
I think he passed when I was, like, in California. I couldn't tell you for sure, but I mean, I lost touch with Jimmy, but I love Jimmy. Jimmy was definitely like a friend of mine. I spent a lot of time with Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
before I tattooed.
Really, just run around downtown.
Bro, I spent a lot of time like once I got engulfed in tattooing like around them guys. Like I hung out at Alternative Art with like Tim Milligan. I hung out with all them dudes. I was trying to. I think I was theoretically trying to get into the business then. Like
in that circle of people.
Yeah. I wanted to get tattooed. I mean, I was dealing dope to all of them. You know, like if I want to keep it 100, but like. That's what I was spending my money on, and that's what I was really doing, you know, and like, you know, getting my chick tattooed and like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like
get in where you fit in.
Yeah, bro. They did blow, and I had that. And
it's a foot in the door.
Yeah, bro. You know, tattooers like blow. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it's weird.
Where Alternative Art? That side street right
on Locust.
That was such a cool back
then that was yeah. Oh, it was too, and like I was in there, bro. I was in there with Tommy, and like I mean, I was friends with them dudes tight, you know, and we were partying a lot, and I mean that's how I met Jason Cross, and that's how I really got into tattooing. Was Jason? Well, Jason got into me for a lot of money, and he stole a bunch of stuff from Jason Fancher when he had just so they had just opened up Hollywood Rebels on Hit Street, the little bitty one,
tiny one, yeah.
And Jason was tattooing in the back of it, and it was mostly a clothing store, and it was like rockabilly silk shirt, like bowling button ups, and like I wish I could think of the name. Anyway, Jason was getting out there, and like he was paying me with a bunch of shit of theirs, but like I didn't know that. And then like they fired him. We got it. I got into it with Fancher, and then Jason ended up at Tattoo U, straightened up. But that's when he was like, "Man, you know, what do you think about apprenticing? You know, like maybe I could teach you how to tattoo." And I was like pretty scared of tattooing because I'd fucked up those dudes like early on. So I was like, you know, I could probably make jewelry and pierce. That seems like something I could do.
I see that hand tat.
That's like, I know that I'm getting ready to get some laser work done.
Oh, I like it.
Chroma. Yeah, you should really just enhance the chrome again, man.
Yeah. So back then, it was that was Alternative Arts thing, and that's what Jason took over there. Was they made all their jewelry. They would go buy 316 steel from Columbia Welding and rods, and then we built these things called jigs, basically, and like they were these wooden things with these different sized dowel rods. And basically, what you do is you drill a hole in this side, and then you put like a crank on this side. You put that wire in there, and then you hold it real tight while you crank it. And what it makes is a spring. Well, if you cut a spring, now it's a bunch of captive bead rings.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then what you do is you polish them on a polisher with polish. And then we put the bead in them, and like they didn't cost us hard. I mean, we just smoked weed and sat down in the basement and did blow or whatever. And like I made rings all day. And then like we had a threader to make barbells because a tongue barbell was $80 back then. You know what I mean? And like a captive bead ring was $40.
Yeah.
And then the piercing was like outrageous too. And so like we were making money hand over fist back then. Like, and you know,
they're not.
We made all our own needles too. We would go to MFA and get the hog 14 gauge needles for like injecting hogs, and then you just cut the back of the hub off like for the syringe, and that is a hypodermic needle that you pierce with. That's how that started. Was they used hypodermics, and then so you could take a hypodermic and run it in, right, and then just put it in this way and pull back out. You understand what I'm saying? And then follow it with the ring.
With the receiving tube and everything.
Well, you don't even need a receiving tube. The end of the needle is a hole.
It's open, yeah.
So if I, like, let's say I use a 12 gauge, I can put a 14 gauge jewelry in there and then back it back down. And I don't even need a receiving tube or anything.
You're just following the needle through. Yeah.
So that's kind of how piercing started. And like, man, I like, and back then, bro, it was crazy. Like Brian Jennings, do you remember that dude? Mm-hmm. He's in Germany, bro. He owns a piercing studio in Germany. He's been there forever. Yeah. I've even contacted him when I was over there, and he's in Berlin. I never got to hook up with him, but yeah, that dude. I mean, like back then, like that dude was the GOAT in Colombia, and like I learned a lot of shit through those dudes, and that was kind of short-lived, and Jason got way the fuck out there, and we got fired.
Collectively,
he called me. Well, we're fired. I'm like, what do you mean we're fired? No, bro, it went down like that. And well, somebody was stealing this stuff, and yeah, you motherfucker. So I didn't even have a portfolio because I'm in Colombia, bro. I'm thinking, I don't need everybody knows who I am, and like they're gonna, like, everybody knows that I'm over here already. So I didn't have a portfolio. Shit was wild for me. Me and this girl took off to Houston. She danced. I watched ballet. She was a ballet dancer. Actually, we told my grandma that when we stopped in Arkansas for 2 weeks. We told them that she was a showgirl like Vegas. Okay. You know, like a Rockette.
Except on the business loop.
It's a little churched up, yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's a show.
Back then, that was pretty honest for me, actually. So we'll go with it. Anyway, we got to Houston, and she was dancing, and I got arrested. So got to Houston. I had all of my stuff with me. I started doing some piercings on her at the house just to have photos. And then, like, as she got into the club, like, she could support us, right? Like, that's how that went. And then, like, once she was in the club, like, then I had other clients right away. And so I was piercing these girls. I got me, like, about 10, 15 pictures together, and she was working at Rick's Cabaret North in Houston. And there was this tattoo shop right across the street called Cryptic Images. And so I was like, when you go into the club tonight, I think I'm going to trip over there, and then I'll come back over and have some drinks and chill, So I did a lot of that. So I went over and talked to them dudes, and I got the job, like, right away, and like I was like the head piercer. Bro, I could talk, you know what I mean? Like, I faked it till I made it, to be honest. Like, I didn't know. I hadn't done hardly any, like, we were from college town, you know what I mean? So I was doing like belly buttons and tongues and shit, and like there's nipples and penises and all, like, we're talking about Houston, you know what I mean? Like, I just went from a town that's like 100, back then was like 100,000 people, and like to like 3 million people, you know what I mean? Like, it was just.
Were they looking for a piercer when you walked in, or you just kind of?
They were.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, it just tripped out, and then I got arrested that night immediately for driving without a license. So, and my chick had a license, but I had to drive because that's just how I do shit. And then so I went to jail in Houston, Texas 2 weeks after I was there for driving without a license, and I was like laughing at the cops. I'm like, I'm gonna be bonded out in no time, fool. Like, that bitch got money, blah blah blah. And he's like, you ain't never been to Houston, have you, boy? And I'm like, no. He's like, it's going to take you 3 days to even process. Wow. And like, because it's such a huge city, I went through processing for over 3 days going from cell to cell to cell to cell to cell. And what they're doing is you started out with like 80 or 100 of you in one cell. And basically they're figuring out they clean you and do all this shit just like they do prison. And they're really milling you around to get you all separated and into your cells. But like it takes 3 days to process. And until you see the judge or do any of that, you can't even get a bond or anything. So like I went in on a Friday night, so you can imagine them fools are on fucking slow motion fucking time.
Yeah.
Bunch of fucking naked dudes sitting around for fucking 9 hours in a room together. Fucking whack, bro. So I got put in there, and I didn't see the judge for like 7-8 days, and by then they're like, well, we're only gonna give you like 30 days, and it's 2 for 1, so you're gonna do 15, and you just plead guilty and drive without license. And so that's what I did, but because like of my past criminal history, they put me in with this dude that had murdered his wife, was my fucking cellie, but he was chill, like, he was super chill.
Y'all weren't married, so he was good.
Yeah, no, we were chill, bro. He actually watched my back toward the end.
Was the tattoo shop like waiting for you when you got out?
They did.
Yeah.
Well, my chick was working right across the street, and like, yeah, it was, yep. I came out and I went to work, and you know, I can't remember those dudes' names, funny enough. But I will tell you this, they were fucking full-blown juggalos and juggalettes.
Nice. What year was this?
2000, 99?
The prime.
99, 98, 2000. Like, well, I would say, so I went there and pierced, and and I drank back then and partied and shit. And so, like, we were fucking, so, like, what I would do, like, there was happy hour at my chick's club every night at 7 o'clock from 7 to 9, and I would go over and have lunch. And so I'd like get fucking hammered. I'd be drinking 2 for 1 Heinekens, fucking hammered. Then I'd come back and do some piercings. I'd start off, do some piercings, get some money together, and then hammered, come back and do some piercings. When I get so fucked up, that'd be like wild, bro. It was early 2090s, but during hurricane season and like lots of rain and shit like that, like when we were closed down, or you know, like just sitting around when it's slow, I would draw with those dudes, and like that's when I got introduced to Prismacolors and shit.
Oh yeah, like vellum and Prismacolors.
Yeah, and those dudes didn't know I could draw, and I could draw. Like I've always been able to draw ever since I was a kid. I used to love to draw. So then I started drawing. Them dudes are like, you should think about tattooing. And I was like, I don't think that's for me, man. I think I'll fuck people up. But then I got drunk one night over at the club, and I came over and did one of the worst tattoos ever done on my body. Right there.
Uh-oh.
And it's a piercing needle and barbells and shit too, funny enough. It's not this one. It's another one.
Hey, combining the passions, if you will.
And it was bad. It's bad. It's bad chrome.
Maybe
it's bad line work.
Maybe we could get it posted on the Instagram for the listeners to see.
we can do that. But we gotta get some more pictures of Pat up. Space Pat.
Yeah,
Space Pat.
Pot with Pat.
And we're gonna get Tattoo Tom's episode up too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great time with him.
Oh, great time. Yeah, I did this terrible tattoo on myself, and it's terrible. About 2 weeks later, probably, I did another tattoo, a kanji, on this side.
Which kanji?
Crazy.
Okay, I got strength right here.
Yeah, I got wicked.
Yeah.
That was my first tattoo. 04.
And I outlined it in red on the outside of the black.
It's tough.
Well, it was innovative.
Yeah.
Get up in that mic.
Oh, that's tough.
Like Elvis.
Yeah, like Elvis. Maybe Yogi needs to turn your mic up.
How'd you do with doing your tattoo? Like, like what was going through your mind? Like was it a trip for you to do your own tattoo? Like
I was like kind of drunk, bro.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna keep it 100 with you,
it wasn't a spiritual event for you.
well, no, it was. Well, so the second one was so much better, and that convinced me that I was gonna I was pretty sure I was like, yeah. I'm gonna fuck around and tattoo now. Like
Shit started making sense.
that shit looks good, dog.
Yeah.
It looks as good as these fools.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you know what I mean? I soup myself up fast. And then I did a tattoo on my chick. You know what I mean? And like those dudes were also like helping me and like, you know what I mean? Like definitely mentoring me a little bit. And
so were you like the shop's apprentice? Like you didn't have like one person that you answered to at that time?
nah, this was not an apprenticeship, bro. Like
Nah.
I was becoming a tattooer now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I'm gonna get to that. Let me do this dab.
This next part of the story is brought to you by the Dab Butler.
Yeah, the Terp Sous Vide. Yeah.
Also, if you guys are listening, feel free to rate us 5 stars.
That's
on
right.
Spotify and whatever.
That's
if you
right.
don't feel it's a 5, just don't rate it then. 5 stars. That's fair. Subscribe.
Yeah, if you can't say nothing nice, don't fucking open your fucking dick holster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dick holster. So, Houston was a little short-lived because, man, I just keep it 100. The crack's fire down there, dog. The crack was fucking, the coke and the crack was fire. It was cheap. I liked it. Me and my girl had to come back on a Greyhound bus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were slinging steel in Houston. That's what I call Pearson.
Slinging steel.
Yeah, the Gauge Cage.
Oh, that's. Hey, I got my Libre there. I got my Libre with.
We're going to get around.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I'm headed back to Missouri, headed back to Columbia with my tail between my legs, strung out. I got fired from that shop because of wild shit with my girl. Couldn't make it to work and drugs.
It's a classic combination.
Yeah, I didn't steal or anything like that, and we didn't get in a fight or nothing.
Wasn't working out.
I was a piece of shit.
You took the side of Twisted instead of ICP. You're more.
I was more twisted
You're more
than
of a
them
twist.
guys. They weren't.
You're more of a Jamie Madrox.
They weren't quite the juggalos they thought they were.
Yeah.
I was really more of like a real juggalo, whereas they were more like a 70% juggalo.
Everybody says they're juggalos until it's time to do juggalo shit, you know?
So it's time to clown around.
Yep.
So come back to Columbia, tail between my legs. Like I said, this is like right about 2000. Came back. I had drawn a whole set of new school Flash. Some of it might have looked like Slipknot characters. Some of it might have been just dragons, whatever. But it was all like, basically I'd colored it all with pencils and then put them all together and put them together at Kinko's or something. And then I ran around Columbia as soon as I got back and I sold all those shits to like all the shops. And I had already been friends with Scott and them through like Rusty and all that shit, you know?
Yeah, that scene in Columbia was pretty. I mean, all those shops were just like blocks away from each other, pretty much. So,
yeah, and so that's what I did too. Like, actually, I ended up at my dad's house and like I copied all that shit on my dad's computer, and then I went to Kinko's, printed it off, and then I had him drop me off downtown. And I ran around and sold them, I think like $35 a set or something. And I
you
sold
have any?
like, huh?
You still have any?
No. Well, I have some stuff downstairs that's really old. I might actually have some.
I would like to see it.
Yeah,
Anyways,
really
Carrie,
cool.
No, I probably do actually. Ooh, I think I do.
bring it back.
It's real bad. So Scott and Ron
Oh yeah.
were downtown then, and they're like, shit, your tattoos they ain't that bad. And they're like, your piercings are real good. They're like, so why don't you pierce here full time, and we'll help you learn how to tattoo better. Here's what we'll do. We'll sell you all of the equipment that we don't like for like 80 or $100, and was like all Spalding and Rogers shit. Some old inks, and like one of them yellow power sources.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? That just went from like 8-volt something to 12, 15. So they go tattoo all your friends at home in your free time, and you can pierce here full time. And then my girl danced ballet, and so I was doing okay, and I was getting fucked up, partying, wild life with my stripper girlfriend. I mean, ballet girlfriend.
Ballet.
And yeah, so I ended up. Ron and them moved out. They all moved out to the Midway. And there wasn't enough space for me out there because them dudes are big.
Yeah.
I got kind of sour about that. I won't even get into it, but they kind of left me, which is fine or whatever. And I went to work at Tattoo U. I worked out of the house for a while and fucked around with Jason Cross for a minute. We got some equipment on the internet. Like we got some new Spalding shit, and I got like one of them kettle sterilizers, and I was doing like kind of big shit. I was taking the Spalding and Rogers book, and I'd blow up those things at Kinko's, and like that was real flash, bro. Like,
Oh yeah, that stuff's
you could scan it, blow it up, and get an 11x14 out of these pictures that
I'm
were
saying
only,
they're like a stamp.
It's
yeah.
like how Philip Blue started doing that when he was like 12 or something.
you know what I'm talking
Yeah, oh
about,
yeah,
right?
I have one. I love them.
Yeah, so I did that. Like, people would come over to my house, they'd pick it out, and then we would just go copy it at the Kinko's. And, like, you know, it's a whole process, take all day, but, like, we'd get a 12-pack, right, before we'd start. So, like, I had time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was real professional.
We're on Miller time. It's good.
Yeah, beer time. Beer 30. So, I was tattooing out the house. I got better. Just doing tattoos and fumbling my way through shit. And Jason would come over and like, Jason was an unbelievable tattoo artist at the time. Unfortunately, Jason wasted everything with drugs and alcohol. But that dude at that time, bro, he could have been Guy Aitchison. Like, he could have been something that was unbelievable. I have a bio piece on my leg that he was doing when, like, only Philip Liu and them people were doing that. And, like, it was done right. He knew what he was doing. And, like, that dude was fucking sick. But anyway, he would come help me a little bit at the house and shit. And then, like, I got together kind of a portfolio, got a job with Steve at Tattoo U, Tim, Dean Wilmuth. It was all of us. And then, like, Tim and them hated on me because I was doing tattoos kind of out of my league and kind of like overstepping and taking stuff like taking walk-ins, I guess is the way they were looking at it.
Like taking their walk-ins, you mean?
So they said that I was drinking on the job, which wasn't true. And I got fired for drinking on the job, which I didn't. But then, so I went back to the house. Chris
Yeah.
LaHue.
He did my first tattoo.
Chris, what's his last name?
I can't remember.
LaHue, wasn't it?
I mean, I've heard that sounds familiar.
LaHue, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to high school with that dude.
He loved Motley Crue and Kiss.
Bro, he was like that dude. He is like Motley Crue and like.
That's all he talked when he
I don't
tattooed
think
me.
he's still alive. Actually, I think he's dead.
Really, he did when he did my first tattoo. He was like, I'll trade you for Motley Crue and Kiss merch and stuff. And I was like 16, you know. I was like, okay, man. I did my tattoo, and he goes, come back when you're old enough to get a real tattoo. And then 2 weeks later, my friend Peter had a Motley Crue Hot Wheel. And he's like, I'm gonna see if that guy will give me a discount on that, you know, because Pete's first tattoo, he had like Green Day on the back of his neck from Hollywood Rebels when we were in high school when it was on Broadway. But we went to the one, and that Chris guy, who was clowning me about my tattoo, but in his portfolio, it was like printed up in his portfolio already. I was like, I thought you said this wasn't a real tattoo, man.
Oh yeah, well that's all that. You know, it's college time. That's what you did there.
Yeah.
So, I heard he got fired. I smelled blood in the water, and I tripped down to Hollywood Rebels, and I talked to Cy, and I said, "Hey, heard you needed artists," and he said, "You know, you can set in this weekend." Looked through my portfolio, and then he told me it was rough, but he told me I could set in that weekend and see how it goes, and I crushed it, crushed money. It was a great. I was ready to be there. I was like, "Hey, it's tight. Like, I'll see you Monday or whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm chill, bro. Like, shit's pretty rough, you know. I'm probably gonna pass." And I was like,
Wow.
yeah, we're sitting at the bar. You know what I mean? Like, I got all hot, and I was just like, I sat there for a minute, and I was like, "Yo," I was like, I need this job, and like, I'll do whatever it takes to have it. Like, what does that like? Why don't you help me get better? Teach me how. And he's like, well, if you want to work there for 30%, I'll teach you how to get better. So
Yeah, I mean,
30%. Yeah, take it.
we finished having drinks, and he told me, he said, if you're ever gonna drink on the job, make sure you go down to the bar. Because that's what he. So I forgot to say that part is, at the beginning of the weekend, he took me down to Eastside Tavern, like in the middle of the day. He goes, let's go have lunch. And we fucking went down to Eastside, and he goes, got a couple shots for us and beer, because that's just how we rolled back then. Like, and he's like, if you're gonna drink on the job, at least go to lunch, have beers. And I was like, psh.
Eastside was awesome back then too.
Bro, this was a whole life, you know. Like, I was like, I have
I would
arrived.
say Cloud 9 for LT.
Oh, it was fire. Yeah, it was fire. So, I lost my train of thought. So,
You're at Eastside Tavern.
yeah, no, I just felt like I had arrived, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like that was my.
Eastside was formerly a burger place called Blondie's. Do you remember Blondie's?
I do.
Like
Now
a
that you're
50s, they had a
saying
Mortal
that.
Kombat arcade machine.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Now that you're saying that, I do remember it being Blondie's. Yeah, so I started working there. I'd say I'd been there about a year, and I was doing a lot of work, and my tattoos had gotten so much better, and I just, yeah, everything was going good for me. Cy and them got to where they were like, I guess not so stoked on it. Like, Cy wasn't really around a lot. Like, I'd been there like a couple years at that point, I think. And just like, it was just me and Matt most of the time. Like, the Cy wasn't really there. So I ended up partying a lot, really. And I was partying a lot more. I got a little more into the dope game, and basically shit just kind of spiraled out of control. Them dudes sold the shop back to Fancher, and me and him were not tight. At one point, he had talked about like putting a breathalyzer in. And I told him I was gonna come in and beat him in the fucking head with it. I was like, I hope you do. I was like, because I'm gonna take it off the wall and beat you in the fucking head with it after I blow in it.
So it's a hostile work environment.
Yeah, he was being hostile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got fucking way out there that time. This was about 2004. By then, I'd been tattooing about 4 years. I got way out there. I was gone for a couple years, to be honest. Just in the streets, doing dope. I wasn't really tattooing, hawking my equipment, doing all kinds of wild shit. I mean, I could get way into details, but it's really just real dark. And you know, I did a bunch of fucking ill shit. I used to rob people and, you know, do stuff that I'm not very proud of anymore and stuff that's not acceptable in society. And but that's just what I become whenever I'm on that shit, bro. Like, there's nothing matters more to me than that, you know. I got in some trouble, got another DUI, decided to put my shit together, put myself in rehab, got in rehab, got out, came out. I couldn't really get a job in Columbia. I was having a real hard time because everybody knew me.
Small town.
This is remember when I told you on that one episode where they had like probation written on my license? Yeah. So licensing happened, I want to say 2002, somewhere in there. And so I got this fucking thing that said probation on it, in which you have to go back and listen to the old episode, but basically it didn't mean shit. They were like putting me on probation because when you got your license for tattooing, like when it first came out, in Missouri, it was all about your criminal history.
Right.
And so I guess they were putting me on tattoo probation. I don't know. They told me some whack shit, like I had to come drop urines and shit, and I told them suck it. So I never did. I don't know. That just went away. My license got normal, but I was going to like Kansas City. Did a little bit of guest spotting in like Blue Springs. I did some stuff. I was just traveling around trying to figure things out, and I was working out of the house a lot. And then I was fucking with Mr. Tattoo, Midway. Mm-hmm. They're at Midway. Ron has left. Scott's got personal things going on. He needs somebody there. I spent the next, I want to say year until they closed it, basically working in that fucking Midway truck stop tattoo shop. And that was like sitting in a fish tank. So it was like the back door lounge was like, so think about it like this. It's like a square like this, right? And there's a hallway this way, and then the hallway goes this way. We have like a sliding glass door, and it has glass on both sides. And the back door lounge is down this hall, and like the bathroom and the showers and shit are this way, and then like drunk people, hey, you busy in there? You know, and redneck motherfuckers. Oh my God, bro.
Like everybody looking as they go by.
Is there still a tattoo shop there?
Huh?
Not to cut you. Is there still a tattoo shop there?
So no, I went recently. I stopped in there.
I know there's one for a while, like after, right?
It was on the TV show.
Yeah, it had that TV show, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was like Dr. Tat, dude.
Yeah.
Sounded very methy.
Yeah, like
well, I mean, you're tattooing out of a truck stop, so I mean, it's already kind of methy.
It's like a whole world, though. It's a wild truck stop. They build AR-15s right in the same parking lot, don't they?
Wow.
There's that company out there.
They do a lot of stuff.
It's like a one-stop shop, really. I mean,
you know,
it's efficient, if anything.
Take them there.
Yeah, you'll have to go there sometime. Actually, I pointed it out when we
did point it out, yeah.
You know where it's at.
Yep.
Anyway, I closed that shop down. And then I went to Florida. Or no. Yeah. I I closed that shop down, and I was doing like, I don't know, tattooing on the house and shit, and it was getting ready to be winter. And this is actually some really pivotal shit, I think, especially back then. Is I was like, I'm gonna fucking travel somewhere, and so I started looking in the back of tattoo magazines for guest spots.
And you used to have the directories back there.
There was a lot of shit. Like, people would put ads in the back of them for artists and shit. So I started answering them, and I fucking found this, the crazy clown in Miami, Florida, and we can Google it. But like, the dude owned like, I want to say like 4 or 5 shops at the time, and it said, "I'm always hiring." Like 1-800 the crazy clown, some bullshit. I called him and I was like, "Yo, I want to come do it." He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm always fucking hiring. Come down, bro. I'm busy. And I'm like, "All right." So I started setting it up, and I'm like gonna go down there like either right before Christmas or after Christmas, or I don't know, sometime. But the more I got to thinking about it, I was like, well, I should just stay like a whole, and this was a long time ago, like 2004, 2005. I mean, yeah, a long time ago. So I'm like, I guess I'll go down there for a month. I got a girl and shit at the time. She's like, yeah, you should just do that. So I did. I think it was like right after Christmas, I flew down to Miami. I answered this ad out of the back of the magazine, flew down to Miami. I told the cab driver where I was going. He goes, there's no white people there, right? That was the first thing he said to me. And I was like, it's chill. It's whatever, bro. I'm working, And so I got over there, and it was like in the hood, 2 for 1. Neck tattoos, names on the neck for $35, 2 for 1.
And can't beat it.
No, it was a price. It was a whole vibe in there. Yeah. It was a hood, and these were like some fucking Puerto Rican gangster fucking, but like, bro, they could tattoo and shit. And this dude he learned from Doc Dog, which at the time I didn't know who that was. Pretty sure Doc Dog has something to do with Gilmani. I think he might have apprenticed Gilmani. Doc Dog is from Nevada, and I might be wrong, but I know Doc Dog was a thing in the tattoo industry, and like, he was a name to know and shit back then. And so this dude knew people, and he definitely was running a business. This dude was like rolling in an Escalade, like on fucking. It was wild, bro. And he was like in this velvet suit or velour suit, which I mean, I'm into it, but I was there like 4 days, and he fired me because I couldn't do lettering, and I could not tattoo without an armrest. They did old school fucking.
Yeah, just grab my knee.
But no, we had like these. He's like, you just use one of those fucking footstool. So everybody had a footstool, and yeah, you use your knee, and. He did lettering across my leg to show me how he could do lettering, which it ain't very good, to be honest. But back then it was better than mine, and I don't do lettering to this day because I don't spell very good, I don't read very good, and I don't write very good. Therefore, and I've misspelled a lot of things in my my career. I believe 13 was the magic number when I stopped.
I understand that.
Yeah. I just don't do it, man. There's so many people that do it better than me that there's no reason for me to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll do them, but if you want like a fancy, elaborate stuff, there's just, like you said, there's just people that just do that and they do really well at it.
I don't even
have them do it.
I don't even do just that, really.
I love signatures, people's signatures.
Oh, I could do some shit now. Like I don't do no lettering.
Don't put it out there if you don't want it coming in.
Yeah, I don't do lettering. It's just not my 40. Like, I can do some beveled stuff inside of something and do some representations. Don't be asking for it, but it'll be, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I always say don't take your transmission to a muffler mechanic. We're all mechanics, just different stuff,
yeah, I
different
just do
people.
other things better.
Yeah.
So, what was I saying? Where's I at?
Crazy clown.
Crazy clown.
Another.
So 3 days he fires me, which was kind of a blessing, to be honest. Like, it was, you know, like when people don't like you or don't think you're good or whatever, like, they knew that I could draw and that, like, my tattoos were okay, but they were rough and, you know, whatever. But, you know, anyway, fired me. So I walked around the beach for like a couple days, South Beach, and like, man, there was all these crazy shops back then that looked like these like Roman cathedrals and shit, and they were ran by Jewish people, and none of them got tattooed. This is kind of a weird thing that they do down in Florida. They do this at a lot of, like, they do this in Fort Walton Beach and shit too, is they have these places that, like, these dudes don't tattoo at all. They just, like, do all the paperwork and sell the tattoos and shit, and they're like, they don't get tattooed either. They're like, I want to say they're Jewish or Muslim or something. And so I walked around and I asked for some jobs, showed my portfolio. Nobody was really feeling it. At the time, my baby mama brother lived in Fort Walton Beach, the Panhandle. This is when I discovered how big the world was too. That fool, I called him up and I'm like, yo, I'm down in Miami. I ain't got nowhere to go. You know, I got to get out of this hotel soon. I'm not making any money. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Can you come give me a ride? Come up and chill with you. He's like, yeah, but you know, it's like 14 hours there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. So he did end up coming to get me like a day or two later. He drove round trip 28 hours. He picked me up at like 3 a.m. We pulled into like Fort Walton Beach or Panama City Beach at like, I don't know, 5 a.m. or something. Wild, bro, wild. He had to go do construction the next day. I was in his trailer chilling with the roaches, and I started calling around some tattoo shops to try to get some stencil paper so that I could tattoo him and his friends from the construction site.
To see if they'd sell you stencil paper, like sell you supplies.
You've heard of that? Have you ever
Sure.
you ever heard anybody ever stopping in a tattoo shop and asking for any stencil paper? Now, this is back before the internet exists, obviously. So, called around a couple shops. Nobody was really wanting to give me any. But then this guy was like, you tattoo? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, our boss is looking to hire somebody. You should come in and show him your portfolio. And I was like, well, I'm not really in town that long, but I'd love to guest spot. I'm here for like 3 more weeks. He's like, yeah, for sure. Come in and talk to him. So I want to say at 6 o'clock that night, I went and met Jim Wolf. Jim Wolf had worked for J.D. Crowe. He'd worked at some places in Houston, Dago's in Houston. That's like a famous hood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just went to J.D. Crow's shop last week in Virginia.
He worked with Sailor Moses. His name was Jim Wolf. I don't think that was his real name. He apprenticed Brandon Bond. A lot of people came out of Panama City Beach, like Jesse Smith. Well, Jesse came out of Virginia, but he did. Man, so many people. Jason Steffen was over there. Fucking.
He's good.
What's that? The dude that I can't. Joey Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
He owned Exographics, and they were fucking destroying.
Was that in Destin or?
Destin.
I've been in that shop way back.
Destin,
Anyway, yeah.
Fort Walton Beach. That's all.
Yeah.
So yeah. I worked in Fort Walton Beach, but I lived in Fort Walton Beach. I worked in Fort Walton Beach. Really, I mean, spent a lot of time in Destin. Was where all the money was, and Exographics and shit. Yeah, man. So I worked there. So Jim looked at my portfolio and he was like, yeah, you're hired. Fucking start tomorrow. Like, when are you ready? Walk-in shop Tattoo Zoo. Is the name of it.
Tattoo Zoo.
I know you're not going to believe this. Black and white checkered floor. Zebra print stuff. Some red. I've told you about this, and I do have pictures of it, but when I met him, Jim was a very unique fellow, and you went back into his office, and he smoked cigarettes back there, drank coffee, but the best part is there was like 4,000 swords hanging on the fucking wall.
Yeah.
Knives and bayonets, and did I show you a picture?
Yeah, you did. I believe you showed me a picture, but you definitely told me about it.
Yeah, so I gotta show you. I got pictures of this shit. He had a snake in a bottle, you know those wooden tattoo cabinets that have the green velvet? Bro, I had to get one. Jim told me where to get it, and oh man, I was
classic stuff, man.
Oh man, I was amazed by Jim, and I wasn't a very good tattooer, but Jim really, he helped me get so much better. To begin with, I was doing a lot of walk-in tattoos, but Jim taught me how to tune my machine and shit the way that he tuned it, and explained some things to me that I never knew before. He also showed me how to make a power source with a marine battery, so that if you're ever in a hurricane, the power goes out and you're tattooing, you can just pull up closer to the window and keep tatting. Because you're on marine battery, you don't need power.
Pure
Right.
power.
It's the most pure power there is. It's DC power. So I learned a lot from Jim. I worked there for 5 weeks. And this is probably why it sounds like we got real close, because he offered me a job to kind of be the head dude, but I lived in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really having a job. I was in a relationship, and she was in college. And so I was like, yeah, I'll take the job. I'm going to go back and tell her. I was in, we were talking while I was there on, doing the guest spot. And she's like, yeah, babe, do it. I'll graduate high school or graduate college.
Whoa.
Yeah, not high school. College. And
Yeah.
no, she's in college. She's at MU. So she's like, yeah, go for it. So I came back, and I think I moved there within 2 weeks, and
You're like,
I
it's
moved all the shit out of our house too. It was all pretty much mine. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take all my shit. See you, babe. You'll be tight.
You were with an empty apartment. Nice, man.
Yeah, that's how I do
I haven't
shit.
been to Florida.
But I was paying the bills.
That's fair. Get your own chairs.
Yeah, until I figured out that that she might have somebody over there eating some of my porridge, so to speak.
Yeah, man.
And shit was getting weird, and so I lived in Destin for about a year. Funny thing is, my baby mama's brother went to jail during that time, so I took over his trailer. But I got real close with Jim. I became kind of the head tattooer there. It was great. I loved it. I loved Destin. I loved Fort Walton Beach. I loved all that shit. Then my shit was getting weird back home. Like I said, somebody was sleeping in my bed. And so I decided I was going to come back unannounced. Right before that, one of our tattooers had gotten fucking way out there on fucking dope. And he came through and wanted to sell all of his equipment. And this fool had 201-inch grips from Dermographics and a full set of fucking Star Bright inks and the reinventing the tattoo, but this dude had everything, and he had 20 machines, and he's like $80 or something. And he's a Friday night, he's out front of the shop, and he's fucking beating.
All
and
scratching, yeah.
I'm all, Paul, bro, you gotta chill. I'm not gonna get into his name and shit, but anyway, I'm like, bro, you gotta chill. So finally, I'm like, All right, bro. I'll give you $80 for it. I bought it. He ran off in the darkness, smoked his shit. And then, like, a day later, 2 days later, this motherfucker got dope head remorse, you know. Man, you think you could sell that back to me? Nah.
Yesterday's price ain't today's price, man.
That one ain't for sale.
Yeah.
What he sold me was so invaluable. Like, I mean, I never would, like, that was thousands of dollars that I wouldn't, like, you know.
Yeah, you parted with it so quickly. You don't get that back.
So, when I went back home to catch this bitch up, that fool started telling Jim all this weird shit because Jim let him come back while I was gone to work because he got sober for a couple days, and then he's like, you know, LT was in here stealing from you and da-da-da-da-da-da, which none of it was true. So while I was back home, Jim fired me. So then, all my shit's in fucking Florida. I'm at home with a fucking chick that's been fucking, I caught her up. Fucking all my equipment's there. Oh, fuck. Everything's all fucked up again. So I got some people together. We drove down to fucking Florida right when Hurricane Katrina was coming in. So we were headed there, and you could see a line in Mobile, Alabama, of people leaving.
Heading the other direction.
And we're stopping at U-Haul to get a trailer, and they're like, where are you going? We're like, Florida. They're like, wrong direction. Well, I went down, got all my shit packed up, smoked crack, got tattooed, came back in the hurricane where it was fucking coming up over the bridge and shit. Wild, bro. Wild. Stayed up all night, getting my foot tattooed, got so high, fucked up. We got back to Columbia. I wasn't driving. Somebody else driving. I was laying in the back seat of this truck, and my foot got fucking super infected. And then I went to A1 Tattoo at Lake of the Ozarks for the summer. Tattoo Ted.
Oh, lots of wild stories out of that place.
That was also an amazing event. So I went to work there during the. We separated. I went and lived at Scott that used to own Tattoo U. He let me live there, and I was doing some tattoo work, like I want to say just around Columbia, like filling in here and there. But I got the job down at Lake of the Ozarks with Ted, and it was for the summer. And I worked 3 days a week, and I made $5,000 at 50% every fucking. I mean, like clockwork. Like I made $10,000 a week in reality. So needless to say, at the end of summer, I bought a Cadillac. I moved to Arizona, and I opened my first shop.
What was the name of that shop?
Well, it's Rites of Passage.
That's what. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually bought it.
Yeah, I remember.
I didn't open it. I bought it. It's in Yuma, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in Arizona a lot. I was doing a lot of shipping and transportation from Mexico during those times.
You worked in distribution.
I was working. That's what I was doing during the summer. I would fly it, like, because I would have the whole week off when I worked for Ted. So I would the whole week I would like fly out to like Arizona, go to Mexico, do whatever I did, and then I'd fly back, and then I'd go to work on the weekend. And by the end of the summer, I had a fucking fuckload of money. I was in some trouble with Missouri shit, with drinking and driving and all this shit. And like I got out of that, and they put me on like unsupervised probation, just like. But I didn't have a driver's license for 10 years, and so this is gonna sound a little wild, but I'm known for that. So my thought process was, if I get caught again driving without a license in Missouri, I go to prison for driving without, because I've had repeated offenses of that. But if I live in Arizona and get caught driving without a license, just driving without a license in Arizona.
It's a fresh one.
It's freshy.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I moved to Arizona. Oh, and I bought Rites of Passage from Dan Brown. He was famous in tattooing. He came from San Francisco. He also became a glassmaker, like high end like glass, but not pipes, like sculpture glass.
Yeah, sculpture glass.
There was kilns and shit in the back of the shop when I bought it, and yeah.
So that's maybe how Mel met you, was through Matt when you were out in Arizona and you came back one time or something.
Well, I know Matt forever.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
I
And
know
then Mel worked for Matt. Yeah,
Yeah, I would come back and visit a little bit, but and yeah, I think I came back and guest spotted at
yeah,
what do you call it?
yeah. That's where, because Mel, the guy Mel we're talking about, is my mentor. Today is his birthday as we record this, and you did his foot. He had like a
Mel was your mentor?
Yeah, Mel's my tat dad. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that you I knew. Yeah.
I've had a village, but Mel was my first tat dad.
Yeah. No, but I didn't know that, bro.
Oh yeah.
I love Mel.
Oh, he's the best. He'd walk in and look at a tattoo and he'd say, "Well, that's not totally awful," but from him that meant like, "You doing good,"
That's
like
a solid compliment. Yeah.
I'd be like, "That's the best, worst compliment I ever got, Mel."
Today's his birthday, you said?
Yeah, I love Mel. I just
birthday,
came
Mel.
from having
Mel,
sushi
happy
with him.
birthday, bro.
Great guy, Mel Freeman, Melton Hearts.
Mel, come out and see me, dog.
That's a great name.
I'm gonna bring him down here. We're gonna get some lunch. I tried to get him to go by that's a whole. We'll talk about it in another episode. But I tried to get him to go by the name Velvet Mel,
Oh man.
So many great tattoo names, man.
because that's when like I had known about you, and I had seen you, and I had heard all these wild stories from your sister and being in Columbia. But then that's when you popped back onto my radar. I was at T-Dogs and Mel was in St. Charles out there, and he and I had always remained close. And then I was like, "Oh shit, I know that dude. I've met LT." Like.
So like getting back to or saying what we were saying earlier about networking, I didn't know it, but like even back then when I opened the shop, my idea was, well, I'll bring all the people from Columbia and like we'll have good people here and attract good people and so yeah, I had Matt come down like during the busy season to do piercings and had Casper come out.
Yeah.
Me and Casper did a collaboration.
He was probably young then.
Coming out to Arizona, you're saying?
Yeah, bro. We'd fly him out and shit, like give him a place to stay and
Casper's a fucking killer.
yeah,
Still
bro.
is.
And like me and Casper did a collaboration chess piece on this dude back then. I got a picture. That's on my Facebook.
Is it? Okay, yeah. He's. I love that dude.
Anyway, bought the shop, remodeled it.
What was the shop like when you got it? Like was it like a busy shop, or was it really old? You had to renovate.
So it was very it was very street shop like, and like the old asphalt tile, like school tile had been wore out, and the shop. So Yuma, Arizona is a very unique space, especially in this time and space in life. This was during the beginning of the Gulf War and all this stuff. So we were in the desert a lot anyway. And Yuma, Arizona is the United States' largest marine aeronautical base. And so there was this built-in clientele of military. And Dan's shop, Rites of Passage, was known as the best shop in town because Dan was an award-winning tattooer. And there was only like 3 or 4. I want to say there was 5 shops when I took over bought his shop, maybe tops, maybe less, or maybe there's 4, and they all sucked. But anyway, the shop had built-in clientele from the military, and it did all the silent drill team, the bugle drum corps, and like all of the national, pretty much anybody that was at the military base came there, and so had built-in clientele, busy. I remodeled it, just looking more modern. I did make it I mean, it had flash on the wall. It was like, you got to realize that this was 2006. Like, there was this was right at the beginning of like MySpace, Ink Nation. Before that, like, there was a lot of custom artists in the world. There was
Reed Street Forum. I know a lot of people would kind of mess around on that. But.
Yeah. So, like, information was out there. You didn't really, like, there was, like, Guy and there was Paul and, like, you know what I mean? But, like, when the internet started opening up, we could see more people. And, like, that's when I started finding people like Roman. And I watched Roman's career progress before I ever got to know him, like, from doing these all-day session. Oh, it was just crazy. Anyway, that's later on in the story. But so I took over the shop, cleaned it up, made it nice. I thought that it was a great idea being in between Sandy. Like, alls we kept hearing before I ever moved there and did all this shit was, because I was there a lot doing the distribution thing. Because it's right on the border of Mexico, California. It's like right in that corner. It's what I like to call the asshole of America. It's where all good things come to an end. It really is. The Colorado River, my life, morality, a lot of things down there.
Federal jurisdictions.
I mean, well, and the shit that they've done too, you know, they've shut down the Colorado River that by the time it goes across the border, it's like you can almost pee more.
Yeah, it's a trickle.
Yeah. They have shut it down, and they were doing that while I was there. They were also working on the fence while I was there. So we had a lot of clientele with the military. And man, I took advantage of living on the West Coast. I started going up to Guru in San Diego, and I started to become friends with like Aaron Della Vedova, and I got tattooed by Craig Driscoll and met Adam Hawthorne because Casper was going and getting tattooed by Adam. Mm-hmm. I met this dude named Ugly Bill that's in Kansas City now.
Yeah.
I met just everybody back then. Actually, we went and got tattooed. I got some weed from the dudes at Guru, Fire, whatever it was, probably White Rhino or something back then. No, it was Fire because, like, fuck, I've been living in Missouri fucking with brickweed, you know what I mean, right, for last, like, 15 years. And, like, now I'm out here where the kind buds are, and it was Fire back then. This is, like, right before Prop 215 legalization. So we're hanging out with them, going out there to San Diego a lot. Again, just connecting up, learning shit. I'm heavy into Ink Nation, and I feel like this is like the real pivotal part of my career. So like I was doing a lot of I was on Ink Nation and shit a lot, and I was on MySpace. And
Ink Nation was rowdy. That was Wild West on there.
No, it's like a tattoo message board, right?
It was like it was social. It was like a MySpace, like a crude MySpace for people just hating on there. The social ladders that were on there and stuff.
Bro,
there's a dude with his face all, you know what I'm talking about? He had he's like a buff guy and his face all tattooed, and he was like Mr. Alpha on the boards talking shit to everybody.
I don't remember that dude, but I just know that motherfuckers would tear you up. Like if you posted something that, bro, you didn't like. That's when I learned that the internet did not play, and I also learned that I wasn't very good. I learned a lot about myself.
Yeah,
and it also so in those years of that shop, being in the desert. Oh, look, it's Evan Lovett. Yeah, I didn't. Shit, what's up? Yeah, so I'm in the desert. It's wild being being in the desert, shit was really crazy. The people there, you learn that like you're really a stranger in a strange land there. Everybody's like, "Where are you from, huh? You don't sound like us." And like you start to really get it, you know. So I started like venturing out, doing a lot of networking, going up into California, on the message boards a lot, Ink Nation, Facebook, or MySpace. Facebook we weren't allowed on yet. And met this guy named Mason, that lived in Arizona, and we were talking a lot. He lived in Phoenix, and then he moved back to San Francisco, and he was like working in the Wharf, at the shop called Mark of the Tiki. And I was like, man, I want to do a little vacation and, you know, come up to the Bay and just kick it. And he's like, yeah, come up and we'll let you guest spot and da-da-da-da-da. So like at this time I drove myself. I'd been working really hard. I really felt like I grew immensely during this time. This is when I met Craig Driscoll, and like he said some shit to me that was like super pivotal about like, you know, spending 2 hours a day drawing, how you would just grow, and like even if you don't have an idea, draw whatever it is. And like, man, I just got so focused, and I went and did this guest spot in San Francisco, and man, I hit it off with a dude named Dave Groeschel that owned the tattoo shop. Now, he did not tattoo, but that tattoo shop was also owned by Baba, and come to find out that like now I was going to start doing it. So the very first tattoo convention I ever did, I went with the guys from San Francisco. I flew out to San Francisco, and we came back to Chicago to do the Navy Pier show for the Body Art Expo. It's like one of their very first shows. And I did it with Baba, Rick Walters, Tennessee Dave, and this dude named Cisco that has worked for Mahoney and several other people.
Not the thong song guy.
Not the thong song guy. This dude is an Italian-Irish guy from the Bay that is a very unique fella. And I have a story about it. This is part of that story. So, man, I met so many people at that show. Chente, fucking Louis Gomez, fucking bro. They introduced me to like Bob, and them introduced me to the all these LA like people, and it was just unbelievable. The show was unbelievable. It was at Navy Pier. It was great. We had a great time. I was as busy as fuck. Went out partying with Mason and fucking Cisco that night, and we're like we started out at the top of the Hancock building or whatever, and we're having dinner, and like you can see the whole city from up there, right? And it's like dark, and he's like, yo, take a picture of us right in front of the skyline, bro. This is Cisco saying this, me and Mace. So like, and everybody's taking pictures and doing whatever, and so he like goes over and stands over there, and I like take their picture a few times, and it's like flashes, and it's like their shadow, and it's dark, and you can't see. I'm like, hold on. He's like, whatever, and I'm like, nah, hold on, I'll fix it. So I push this button, reformat. Slowly, I started watching it erase all of this dude's pictures.
Oh no!
And I'm like trying to stop it. He's like, yo, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, nothing, bro. It's chill. And I'm just like getting hotter and hotter.
Baby pictures gone,
bro. For real though. So I give it to dude. I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. It just erased all your pictures. I'm sorry. I don't really know dude very well either, you know. And he's like, some kind of fucking nerd, get this back or something. And this dude does not think like, he's so mad. And Cisco's like he's a bad dude, really. Like he really is. So I'm like scared to death. I really don't know what's gonna happen. And I've just met all the greatest people in tattooing in my whole life, and I've just probably ruined my everything. So I was like, well, I guess drinks are on me. And like all night long, he's like, you know, I'd fucking kick your ass, but you keep buying us drinks and shit. And like, he would say shit like that. He's like, and like, let me tell you something. Cisco has never let that go. If he sees me, he's like, you know, I would have worn my Italian shoes today, but I was afraid you'd erase them.
Oh shoot!
He'll say like, I erased like a funeral of his friend, his whole Italy trip. I'm like, you didn't like download those into your Nobody knows how to fucking do that, bro. He should not have had a digital camera, okay? Let's just start off there. He shouldn't have had a digital camera. Second of all, he shouldn't have let me touch it. Third of all, it was my fault, and I felt bad.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made, but and Cisco really liked me, and I ruined it. No, we had a pretty good friendship. But anytime he sees me, he fucks with me. So that started me doing a ton of shows in California. I started doing because they were the sponsors with Baba and shit. So all of the body art expos I did with those dudes. And in between that time, Jesse Smith had commented on one of my tattoos on Ink Nation or MySpace or something. And I was like, man, we should collaborate. And he said, you got a client? That was his response. And I didn't miss a beat. I said, yep.
I remember all this time period, yeah.
Yeah. So I did not have a client, but I knew I'd get me one.
Yeah.
And we started this project, and let me tell you something. I definitely was a student. Jesse definitely knew a lot more than me.
It was a cool tattoo.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so the process for me was like this whole crazy thing. Jesse, I don't even think thought about it till the day before, except for what I bugged him over the phone and over emails and like.
You've been sweating it and everything.
Oh, I mean, I drew it like 40,000 times, and then like, I mean, so it's a long story, but I ended up getting Jason James to meet me in Florida. So I went to Destin like 4 or 5 days before. Yes, Spot had made a bunch of money from, you know, now I'm better and I'm back. And I got clientele there from back in the day. So Jason picks me up and we drive over to Orlando to King something tattoo in Orlando where Jason Steffen was working at the time. And I showed up and he had his tattoo and I ended up redrawing mine right there because it didn't, like all this stuff that I overthought and did it just was no good. And he was like, why don't you just get rid of the bottom half of this and put it in a seat? And like, then I needed to redraw it all right there. And so I redrew it. And then he made me start the tattoo.
Okay, so you went first.
Then I went first. And it was like a 12-hour tattoo.
It's big.
It's big. It covers Jason's whole thigh.
I remember already went and got it.
I did like 8 hours myself, and then like, yeah, he did. We did. Yeah. Jesse. Maybe Jesse spent like 8 hours tattooing his part, and I did the rest. It's a big tattoo. It's probably over on the wall. That tattoo changed my life because then fast forward, I'm doing tattoo conventions. It's in my portfolio. I also have like, I'm all over the internet, like trying to blow up that I've been hanging out with Jesse and drawing with Jesse and shit. And Roman sees my fucking portfolio at the show and he's like, dang, that's sick. You should fucking come hang out with me. And I was like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Hey, I'm just gonna say Evan Lovett's here from Philadelphia. What up? How long are you in town? Just the night? We're going to be here a few more minutes. I'm telling my story, which is forever.
Been driving for like 15 hours.
Just make yourself at home. I just don't want you to feel like I'm neglecting you, or you know what I'm saying. All right, cool. So met Roman. I went back to Arizona with a head full of Roman, telling me to come like kick it with him, work with him, and guest spot. And I set that up right away. And I went and guest spotted, and he was like, "Yo, bro, you ought to come work with me." I was like, all right. So I started kind of gearing up to close up the shop, and I was like, let's do another guest spot just to make sure we're on chill. So we did, and I went back and started closing down my shop. I'm gonna go work with Roman. Seemed like best move. So I did. Closed down my shop. Funny story. Got my U-Haul all together. Got to Ukaipa. Pull up. Go inside Artistic Element. Now, I want you to know that I'd already talked to Roman's assistant for weeks ahead of time. And, like, I definitely have been in communication and doing stuff. I walk in and, like, Roman's like, yo, what's up? I'm like, what's up? He's like, you my client?
You thought you were his client.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, bro. I moved here today to work. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, shit, bro, come here real quick. And I was like, what the fuck? And he takes me out back and he goes, oh, so I kind of forgot you were coming, and I didn't really know if you were really coming. So I hired this other dude. I think other two dudes. I know Gino was definitely one of them, but I feel like he hired two dudes. And I'm like, oh, wow. That's wild, because, like, I'm moving across the street from the shop. Like literally, like, I lived, like, 2 blocks over. I've got my whole family in a U-Haul.
Yeah, like everything I own is in that.
It's wild. He goes, oh, man. He goes, we're busy as fuck, bro. Don't trip. We're going to get you busy. Just go get settled in. Man, it was wild. So, yeah, I started at Roman's at Artistic Element. There was a lot of us working there in Ukaipa. But I persevered, made it through, worked hard.
Yeah, that's a big level up for you from Yuma, Arizona to working with Roman, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Insane. This was an insane time, too, because he had been getting tattooed by Nico and Mike DeVries and all these. So he was learning how to become a great portrait artist. And so, like, Carlos Torres, like, everybody, bro. Like, Carlos Rojas. I met we went and had art nights with Josh Duffy, and you know what I mean? Went to like Mike DeVries' shop, and we all hung out. I worked with an amazing group of artists. Whitney Lennox, I have a bunch of her paintings around the shop. She's one of my favorite artists. She works in Riverside with this dude named Callie, not Kaylee. Not to be confused with Kaylee, although spelled exactly the same.
So that's confusing.
It is confusing for a lot of people. It was for me at first, because I knew Callie before I knew Kaylee. Yeah. So anyway, Callie, and let's see who else worked there. Gino come to work with us. Mike, McMaster Mike would come. Is that Benny?
Benny's crazy, yeah.
Benny's on his bullshit again. McMaster Mike would come in and guest spot with us at Roman's. Just like killers always in there. And like you had to be on your A game too. I'll tell you, anytime you did any bullshit at Roman's shop, he would like come through and be like, you know, we do like good tattoos here, bro. You know, maybe I don't know.
Maybe try doing those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he would come at you like that, like, I don't know, bro. Look a little whack, you know. It was not like, and again, it was killers every day. Like, Cali was like booked doing Japanese or like black and gray, like kind of like West Coast shit. Whitney was doing these fucking chicks, and like she would just draw it. Like Whitney Lennis is like a crazy natural artist, and again, they were all just killers. John Grave came through there. Cholo worked there. Cholo was is like Roman's life mate, and like at the time he was drunk all the time. He lived at the shop, and it was quite it was a
He's
whole
like a buff
time.
dude now, right?
Yeah, he's buff
Yeah.
now. Yeah, buff dude. I love Cholo. Eric Smithfield. That's it is Cholo's real name. Eric Smithfield. So that was wild. I was just kind of talking about this earlier, right? That I spent like $30,000 first year with Roman, like traveling, doing shows. I just went everywhere with Roman and tried to connect with everybody I could. Just trying to get better, get known, get in this game.
That's tattoo school right there.
Yeah, not get in this game. You know what I mean? And I won. I won Best New School 2009 at Hell City. That was pretty pivotal for me. Working with Roman then. Roman, I think, took 2 tattoos of the day that year. I tried to get tattoo of the day. He beat me. Yeah, man, that was I learned a lot. I did a lot. It was fire. I owe a lot. Like Roman really put me in a unique position. I mean, I utilized it, but me working there put me in a very unique position that not everybody's had. So I owe a lot to the artistic element, Roman. Yep.
Well, they say opportunity comes to those that are prepared too, though. You know, you got to be putting in that legwork to have even Roman see your portfolio or give a shit about it too. You know.
No, 100%. I was on one. I was definitely trying to. I mean, I ain't never cared about nothing but tattooing. Ever since I like I said in the beginning of this, like I've always loved tattoos, and like I was willing to trade it all for a little more in the tattoo industry. Maybe still am. Yeah. So worked there until I got strung out again. And that's when I really got sober in 2010. I worked there for about 4 or 5 years with Roman. Again, it was great. I learned so many things, and it broke my heart to leave. It was hard to leave, but it was time for me to leave. And so I got sober in December 26, 2010. And about 9 months later, I moved to the Bay. I moved to San Francisco. Went to work with Dave Groeschel at Mom's, right on the corner of Haight and Masonic, like Haight-Ashbury District, whatever you want to call it. I lived in the inner Sunset. It was like a street shop. Well, it is street shop, still street shop. It was owned by Dave Groeschel and Barnaby. Barnaby was the tattooer. Barnaby's a pretty good tattooer. A lot of good Japanese. But, you had to be good in San Francisco. It's just it.
Yeah, that's West Coast mecca for tattooing.
1,000%. And so, and I worked with Dave Bodrick at One Shot in the Sunset in San Francisco. So I worked in San Francisco for about 5 years. I worked at Mom's for about a year. So I went there like I was ready to like stop doing custom tattoos because I was tired of drawing all the time and blah blah blah. But then like when you have to do a bunch of Pinterest tattoos that get off of the 71 bus, I wanted to shoot myself in the face after a while. And it was nice not having to draw some stuff, but it was just hard working for Dave. It got hard. It got hard working there. It was just stressing me out. And like I said, I've been sober about 2 or 3 years now, and I was also traveling a lot while I worked there. So like really what I would do is I would work there like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I would go do a guest spot or a convention, and I'd be gone for a week. And then I'd come back for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'd be gone. So I was gone all the time. And I was like, I started kind of gearing up and was like, you know what? I think it's just good if I just leave the shop. And so I started looking for a job in San Francisco, and I had a couple like kind of bites, but like really nobody's leaving any of the shops in San Francisco. They just all kind of move around.
Yeah.
So like Blackheart's not hiring unless you already work at like Everlast. And like Skull and Sword wasn't hiring unless you worked at Seventh Son.
Yeah,
you know,
like
it's just
inner circle.
it's just how it is. And like I could have went to work at any of the Hell's Angel shops or any of that kind of stuff, but that's just not how I get down. And like I wanted to go somewhere where I was better or where people were better. I really and what was also hindering me is I didn't have clientele in San Francisco. My stuff was a hard sell to begin with. New school tattoos. I learned this while I lived in San Francisco. So like when I would do a new school tattoo, it would be a fucking import person that was from the Midwest to the East Coast. And like as I started to think about artists that were new school artists back in the day, I'm like, Ohio, Columbus, fucking New Jersey, fucking Rhode Island, fucking, you know, Joe Cap, all of them are all like Connecticut, all of this. So really, new school stops about the Midwest. Now it does go out to Colorado a little bit, but really, I mean, it goes everywhere, right? But like, what I found is all the clientele that I was tattooing that got that kind of tattoos were from these areas. This way over, you got like traditional Japanese, West Coast.
I mean, yeah, Hardy out there. You know, that's
and so like, yeah, no, and in San Francisco, people would go, oh, and then you think realism is. So I did realism too, color realism, leaving Romans. I'm good at it, right? Like, taught me so much. I'm good at it at this point, but like, they don't want to spend the kind of money that like. They want it to look realistic, but like traditional realistic.
I still see that every day. People are like, what about this? And it's like, I know somebody that'll do that for you, but you ain't going to like the cost or the weight. You know, it's funny to see. Yeah,
that's what it was. And so I was having a hard time really staying. Well, so I was busy in the city with people that were transplants from other places, but it wasn't enough to like really keep me busy. So what I would do is I would travel full time. And I didn't really know this when I quit there, but I was just like, you know, I got like some travel dates. I'm just going to quit. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I just can't be here anymore. And so that's what I did. And I just started traveling full time. And it worked out real well. Basically, when I lived in San Francisco, the whole time I was there, it was like when I'd be back home, I was like on vacation, so I could like go do whatever I want because I wasn't really tattooing in the city. And if I was, it was like I'd do a couple days at One Shot, or you know, I have a couple tattoos in my private studio. But like most of the time, I was just like chilling when I was there, and then when I was on the road, I was fucking like really
working.
Yeah, really working. So I did that for about 5 years, 6 years. 5 years-ish. Traveled to Europe a lot. Amazing shit happened to me, man. I went to Philip Lou's, won first place at Avion, large color. Used to go to Avion a lot. Don't fuck around with that dude no more. traveled Sweden. I love Sweden. Spent a lot of time in Sweden. A lot of time in Germany. Did a lot of traveling back and forth. Beautiful. Met this chick. Lived in Nashville. I lived in San Francisco. We had to figure something out. Long story short, we moved to Indiana. Studio 13. Went to work with Kelly Doty, Teresa Sharp. Well, I guess I should have said Teresa Sharp. Jake and Jess owned Studio 13. Teresa Sharp worked there at the time. She was just winning Inked. Or one of Best Inked. Yeah. Best Inked. Season 2, I think she was the winner. Maybe season 1. Anyway, Kelly Doty was going to work there. Jake and Jess was really cultivating a team. Funny enough, Ron Hadley, something Hadley.
I know that last name. I can't think of the
Josh Carlton. There was a ton of really good artists have come out of Indiana. There's actually a really good tattoo. I mean, Dusty's there. Black Anvil's a fucking great tattoo shop too. There's Cardinal. There's a bunch of great tattoo shops just in Fort Wayne. They have a great tattoo culture, but Jake and Jess and them definitely dominate the scene in Fort Wayne for sure. We're going to be doing a couple of their shows this year. Shout out Fort Wayne Tattoo Convention. Shout out Toledo Tattoo Convention.
Friends of the show.
Explore Tattoo Conference. I don't know that we're going to make the LA show. Although that Explore Tattoo Conference, they basically got everybody from the Grand Reaper is going to be doing 2 days of intensive learning. So I would say anybody that wants to learn how to be a Glendale Bully or a Prim or a Justin Hartman, you better go to fucking LA, whatever those dates are. We'll find them out.
Sign up for those seminars.
Don't forget that 5-star. No 4s. All right. So where was I at? About to a dab.
Working with out in Studio 13, Fort Wayne.
Oh yeah, Studio 13, Fort Wayne. Year of that, traveled a lot. It was a good experience. I guess if I was to say why I really moved, it was because like I was living in the Midwest. It took 8 hours to get to Columbia to visit my family, either if I flew or I drove. And I thought, if I'm gonna live in the Midwest and it's gonna suck, I probably should just live in Missouri. That way I can go over and see my grandson and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, just made more sense. Plus, I had, like, this is probably where I was going to build long-lasting clientele.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to be staying in Indiana forever. I already knew that from the beginning. So, like, it seemed like as my relationship progressed and things that, like, it just made more sense to move. And we were going to move to Columbia, but actually, my hetero life mate Doak gave me the soundest piece of advice I think he's ever said was, do you want to come back here and tattoo these same old fucking people that you used to tattoo? And I was like,
damn.
No, I don't. He goes, you want to fix up my tattoo you messed up years? Oh, you know, I really got no money. And like, he's right. That's how it was going to be. And it was college town. I didn't really want to go back and do MU tattoos again. So St. Louis was the spot, and I was comfortable over here, and I'd already had a relationship with coming back here and like guest spotting at Self-Inflicted. So that was 2016. And been here ever since. And I ain't going nowhere. Not going nowhere because this is the end game. I'm too old now to really go anywhere, right?
Oh.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go.
I hope you don't go anywhere, but
I'm gonna go places. But I mean, like,
yeah, starting over somewhere else.
Yeah. This is it. Like, I'm gonna buy the house I'm living in. Like, I ain't ever done that, no shit like that. So, this is the one for me. Plus, I got the shop here. I got the show here. I mean, I got a lot of money in the shop.
I was gonna say there's worse places to plant roots, man. I mean, you got a really nice shop here.
It's cheap to live here.
The GRV is beautiful.
Yeah, I love Heart of the GRV.
Yeah.
What is the GRV?
Oh, you're in it. You
Is
are
that
in it.
Mangrove?
This is the Grove. Yeah. I mean, now
Still
formerly known
Mangrove to
as
me.
As
All
the
right.
GRV.
That's the name of the property.
Yeah, that's what this area used to be called.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we are dubbing it the GRV.
It got redubbed
Taking it back.
Grove, but before it was the Mangrove.
But don't you think the GRV?
I like it, I like
I mean,
it.
that's definitely a modern take. I mean, the kids today are
Evolution.
How do you feel about it?
It's slap fucks.
It does.
GRV.
Yeah. No cap. No cap.
No cap. Yeah. No cap. This shit's lit. No cap.
He's not feeling it.
You're
He's
not.
not feeling it. It'll catch on. It's kind of a big thing. It'll catch on.
We're getting a name the GRV.
That's good. I thought that might have been the official campaign.
It is. We are the official campaign.
It already passed, man. It's here.
I mean, if we want to keep it 100, we're the only people that really matter down here anyway.
Make a sticker.
Woo!
Little Fleur de Lis GRV sticker.
We're the only ones that really matter down here anyway. Woo!
Things are getting spicy on the podcast.
Woo! Yeah, man. So then I had this epiphany that I could put on the show after all that stuff. After that story I just told y'all, I took some of that and I was like, I can probably put together a show. And I called up a bunch of my friends and I said, hey, you want to come out and do a tattoo convention? Matter of fact, Evan Levitt came to my very first one, did a beautiful graffiti piece there. He does huge, large graffiti pieces. You should definitely check him out on IG.
We had a meeting at Sub-Zero Sushi Bar. You asked me about it before you started the convention. You asked what I thought.
Did we? Oh,
I did. Made me feel cool
Heck yeah, man.
why were we at Sub-Zero Sushi Bar?
because it's good.
Is that our place out there?
No, that's the other one. That's in Central West End.
Yeah. That was that like a late night situation?
They were open hell late, and I believe at the time it was the best sushi St. Louis had.
I ended up there.
It closed down.
So that's why I'm asking, because I have this vague memory of being there late at night, and I'm like, that place doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no, they used to serve like fucking delicious sushi till 2 a.m.
That's my Benny. My Benny's here too. Benny did some CBD earlier, but he wasn't really feeling it. He's like, give me the THC, Papa.
Yeah, he's
He's
beyond.
more of a
that.
THC kind of guy. Yeah, I've been here since 2016. I'm not going nowhere. And put on the show. I probably did ask. I don't remember that particularly, but I'm glad that you feel good about it, and I'm glad that I did ask your input because, well, I mean, I talked to a few people locally. I try to get people involved. Some people did get involved. Some people did not. That's okay.
I would like to judge again.
I would. You're definitely coming back to judge. Do you need to go potty? Oh man. I'm gonna have to take him potty
All right.
or something.
Or I can hop off and do it.
No, I should just go do it. We can just pause for a second. This is actually a really good turning point. We can edit.
Pause for the cause.
Pause for
Pauses, bro.
station identification.
I gotta take Benny to go. Guess we're just up to now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this would be a perfect time to talk about what I'm smoking on, what I'm doing.
Yeah, the weed or the medicine,
Yeah. The rosin.
the rosin.
So tonight I just got some our most modest
Smoking
presentation. I got some Dogman. I'm always smoking Dogman. I loved it for the head stash. Shout out Dogman Troop, Michigan. I'm smoking the Black Maple. You've already smelled this and checked it out before, but might as well just do it again. Then I got my Point Break that I love. The Point Break's real gassy. You said it's kind of fruity on the end last time. I feel like the Point Break is like got almost like an oil kind of kerosene kind of smell or taste to it. Like it's real, I don't know, oily.
Yeah, it does got that. Love the little logo, the design on that.
So that's a MechMaster Mike logo.
Oh, okay.
So old boy's getting tattooed by MechMaster Mike.
that adds up.
Yeah. I got a MechMaster Mike. It's a pad from MechMaster Mike right here. Mood mat. And then smoking out of my mothership. Yeah, and I've got the new Terp Sous Vide. It's basically a Dab Butler.
Pretty much keeps everything at the perfect temperature.
So it's always ready, perfect temp every time. I will say I do love it. I also bought some rigs from the same people, or well, they own the same company, InvestaHead, or it's different company, I guess, different names, InvestaHeadies. But yeah, I really like it. It's a little noisy. I could see like it's really tight, like if you were having a session. Because then you just got it ready all the time. It's kind of like an e-nail that's more like it's like an e-nail that's kind of like just like if you were heating it with a torch, because like your banger stays clean and it's like not damaging it as much because it's not heating it up as high or cooling it like the butane does. Not to mention, butane's just not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, like what you're saying, it's a lot less intimidating. You know, the looks of it. You know, you don't have a butane torch out. You know, and the whole chemistry set out for everybody. You know, this is like a hairdryer over in the corner.
what do you think,
know?
Matt? Are you less intimidated
By what now? This thing?
than the torch?
Oh, yeah, the torch was a lot. I mean, I like the torch because it's cool looking, but I really like this industrial mini lift.
Yeah.
I just like the visual impact of that. I like that.
And it's quiet.
Yeah, for those viewers at home, we've got the dab rig up on like a cherry picker thing.
So is that a part of it, or is that just a separate? Where'd that come from?
No, they sell that with it.
Okay.
So
okay.
so it's a jack, right? Like think about a motorcycle jack. They're very much the same. And like if you think about it, like rigs are all different sizes and heights and shit. And so, you know, like if I had a different rig here, you would see that like it may need to go higher or lower.
I love it. I loved it. Just that part of it. I don't know why. I like the color. I think it's interesting.
You know, I think when I showed it with everybody I sent the picture to, they were like, that stand's sick.
It's tight.
Nobody knew that this was like.
I didn't just
I
now.
don't think, is everybody was like, that stand's sick. What's going on right there? No, it's.
I just saw the thing behind it. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess.
I
there's
sent a
something there.
picture to my friend Hannah, and she was like, "You're extra." I'm like, "Yeah,
I mean, it is extra. Let's be real.
I'm
But,
extra." Yeah, it was $800, the baller box.
Yeah.
So it came in a Pelican case. And,
That's tight.
That way, you know, all of it goes inside the Pelican case. My rig goes in a Peli too. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I carry it from place to place. I got, like 3 Pelis up there right now.
Oh yeah.
Serious about transport.
That's heady shit.
And then what's that? You got the dab right thermometer there to tell you what the temperature of your banger is.
Just to make sure that it is perfect, because I do run it a little hot to make sure that I got a minute or not a minute, but like a second or so to like get the dab put in there, and like so I'm not rushed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Nothing worse than an anxious dab, you know.
yeah, well, who wants to be rushed, right? I ain't from Russia, so stop rushing.
Today, over in North County where I'm from, you know, I was cutting through this neighborhood, and I saw a handwritten sign that said "Drive slow for the Ukraine." It's like telling people, it's like because like people cut through there and drive hella fast.
Do you get that Russian comedy I sent to you?
Yeah, I didn't understand. I didn't get it either.
4 nights. So listen, there was this picture of Putin with all these military guys that said 419. And then down below it was another picture of Putin in front of all these trash bags, and it said 420. So and it was posted by this dude named Den Yakov, somebody from Russia or Ukraine or something, right?
Yakov Smirnov.
Yakov Smirnov. He does fucking sick fucking, you know, he's like one of them Russian, or it's probably not Russian. I never watched my mouth. He's probably something else.
Botswanian or something.
Anyway,
right?
I sent it to a bunch of people, and I'm like, I don't get Russian humor. Like, nobody.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, there's got to be a point of reference there somewhere, but I don't know what it is.
Well, I get 420, but like, I don't think they smoke. Oh, hold on.
cash
The
out
chick got caught with weed in Russia. Maybe that has something to do with
Brittany Griner, you're
420,
saying, the basketball
trash
player.
bag. Oh, maybe it is something.
Dots are connecting.
Maybe I'm just making shit up.
A week from now, that meme might be funny.
That's a lot of work for a meme there.
Wow, I know. So, yeah, just doing some dabs. I'm not doing that many dabs tonight, really. I mean, I have been smoking hash since this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure fair enough has been ingested.
So, yeah. That was good dab. I went with the
It was at the Point Break.
Point Break.
Yeah, very nice.
Really oily. I guess I could have passed you it.
No, I'm good.
Are you set? Are you all
Yeah, I'm all set.
You may not know this, but Bowser used to sing for a band called Tallywhacker.
Had a lot of hits.
They had their own dance crews, hardcore dance crew, vegan, straight edge.
XVX?
XVX.
XVX.
We would X up.
Tallywhacker.
Yeah. Full-fledged militant vegan dance crew.
Dance crew.
Yep.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. That got me hot.
I believe
The
it.
hot boy.
Hot boy. Hot. The block is hot. The block is hot. The block is hot. You don't like that?
Yeah, he's just keeping you honest.
Yogi said no.
That's been quite the tattoo journey, and now you have a nice, cool apprentice named Bowser here in St. Louis, and he gets to be a part of that journey and gain a little bit from all that wild stuff in the past.
I believe I'm only your second apprentice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So throughout that whole journey, you only had one other apprentice.
Yeah, hookah. Heather. Actually, I guess at this point I'm used to the name. I used to hate that name.
What, Heather?
Both. I hated her mostly. No. No, I just hate it. Like, again, I come from a time when tattooing wasn't accepted, and like, it was quite an uphill battle for me. Like early on with family and all kinds of people about what I was doing. Like I always heard, "What are you gonna do? What are you really gonna do?" But like, really, what are you gonna do? Like nobody knew that tattooing was gonna be like this.
When's he
Just
getting? Yeah.
Just like cannabis. Dude, my grandma went to, she died wondering, what am I going to do when people stop getting tattooed? And I kept trying to tell her that, like, people have been getting tattooed for 25,000 years.
When's he going to get a real job?
Yeah. What's your 9 to 5?
And so, yeah, it was a real uphill battle, but, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but. Oh, so the apprentice thing, yeah, apprenticed her, and the reason I didn't like hookah was because, like, I was trying to beat the stigmas of shit and become, like, professional and get out of drug culture, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like all the stigmas that were about tattooing that, like, are about cannabis are all, like, the same, and so, like, again, this was 20 years ago, all tattooing was not accepted, and people didn't really like it, shit like that, so I can relate both those things to cannabis, and also, like, that's what I was just trying to, like, train her for the future of tattooing, because I knew that it was going to go to what we're in now. You know what I mean? It's not the old days in this shop.
Yeah. There's no motorcycle parked in the lobby, you're saying?
No, not at this shop. I believe that there might be a shop in town that has a motorcycle in the lobby. Funny enough.
But no, you're right. Like tattoo culture certainly has changed. I mean, you get a lot of more like middle-aged moms and stuff for the clientele versus, you know, hell's at minion bikers and stuff.
I mean, you should know where you're at.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Even the South Side's way different than it probably was.
yeah. It's way different. As we still get some weirdos and some character. When I first started going around hanging out at my work, there was still a bunch of those dudes that would come around from that group, and it was definitely interesting to see the transition.
Right.
That's the pre-show, post-show. That's how I think about it. Pre-Miami Ink, post-Miami Ink.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be post-Miami. I just remember before and after there was a big difference.
Well, I mean, there's definitely, like, I mean, those TV shows, they brought it into the modern world, and I'm definitely grateful for all of that stuff. And
Yeah, I don't mind it.
no, man, again, like, tattooings gave me some of that. Like, I couldn't have I don't think I would have ever been in Europe. I probably would have been in prison. Like, if I was just to keep it, like, 100, you know what I mean? Like, so, I think I'm glad that those TV shows happen.
Yeah, it definitely helped to like lend to the legitimacy of what was going on in tattoo shops for sure.
Right. So, yeah.
Did you know all this stuff, Bowser, or was this some of this new? Or
Of LT's history, I know quite a bit of it. He's talked to me quite a bit about how he came out. And we talk all the time about everything. I mean, one of us is always running their mouth about something.
is there anything you don't believe from him, like that he might have?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. I mean, when I first met him, I mean, the way he talks, I mean, you know, like you're like, all right, yeah, everybody talks, you know, we'll see. But everything this man has said to me that will happen has happened.
Yeah.
Everybody he said that I would meet, I've met. You know, I mean, he's given me absolutely no reason to doubt anything that he said, because everything he said, he's kept it 100 with me, and it's few and far between people that like talk and walk. You know what I mean? So, pretty grateful, pretty fortunate to be sitting in this seat right now. So, but yeah, we went on to Kansas City for Josh Martin's art show.
Yeah.
And stopped out in Columbia, and on the whole way there, he's pointing out places. You know, hey, I did X, Y, and Z there. You know, so not all of it's for the home audience to hear, but like you pointed out, like the truck stop where you're at and stuff. You know, it's cool. You know, because I'm his apprentice. You know, so now that's part of my lineage too.
Oh,
you know,
for
that
sure.
stuff has to be remembered and preserved. You know,
Yeah.
passed down.
Origin stories and stuff is my favorite thing to talk about with tattooers.
Absolutely.
See where everybody's coming from and initial the year, you know, that's always interesting. I didn't realize when I had first started hearing about LT that it was pretty new into your adventure with this. But I mean, I was super young, but I was still in high school. But I remember being like, oh, LT's, you know,
Well, tattooing as a thing in Colombia hadn't really been
yeah.
around that long. Not in Colombia. Like, probably at that point, 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, like, before that, JD used to pull up twice a year in this bus, and you probably don't know about, or maybe
I'd
you've
heard of
about
it, but yeah, but
So JD, this dude would pull up in a bus that was full of flash, and like he named his own price, and like he parked at this fucking truck MFA fucking gas station that was owned by some friends of mine later on, his grandpa. Bro, that was the only tattooer that ever came through Columbia until Lakeside come and opened a shop on the business loop right there in the custom muffler shopping center. Bass Pro was right. It was like Bass Pro. It's before Bass Pro was across the street. It was when it was in that fucking muffler clinic parking lot. Not muffler clinic, custom muffler. Muffler clinic was up the way. But yeah, bro. Tattooing didn't really exist in Colombia very long. And I mean, Spider was working Spider was like probably the top. Other than Psy and Spider were like the top in town, and like again, that was. I feel like that was only like 10 years tops after the
Those
first
were
tattoo.
both the dudes for sure.
Yeah.
And one of them Kern brothers.
Well,
came from out of
Tim
there.
Kern was Spider's apprentice.
Oh, okay.
So Tim Kern apprenticed under Spider, and James Kern apprenticed under Guy.
Yeah, okay.
Dark Side of the Spoon, bro. We always we used to make this joke about making a book that there's a bunch of tattooers that have brothers or sisters or they're like twins or whatever, and like one's just a little better than the other.
Sure.
And we're like, Dark Side of the Spoon. One of them's just like Ty Harris has a brother that like scratches out of his fucking garage, bro. Like, and like, you know, Ty's his brother.
Yeah.
His brother scratches out of his garage. He might not now, I don't know, but like a couple years ago, still scratch out.
That's a rough spot to be in. Like, imagine being like Larry Jordan, you know? Like, I almost started playing basketball, and they're like, why don't you find something else, Larry, you know?
He works for their place for the fucking Vermont Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Well, it's
you
like
make it, man.
it's like the BBA. It's like
it's just as good. It's about the same thing.
it's like
though.
the European NBA.
We're like the same.
I play in Canada. Larry Jordan. Yeah, so we used to make a joke about Dark Side of the Spoon. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what I was saying, but yeah, no tattoo. I hadn't been on the tattoo adventure very long.
I used to see all types of cool tattoos from Spider. I remember. I was always like, I
A big one here.
like spoke to him once, and I was like, okay, yeah, this guy don't want to talk to me, and that's fine. I was like 15 or something. I was like, all right. I always liked Psy though. He was always real nice to me, and like a kind of straightforward kind of
Military.
Yeah, he looks. You know who he kind of looks like to me is Alan. I feel like they're a similar build and like.
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of like a similar, but yeah, he was always real nice as far as just like straightforward dude. Psy was. And
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
I used to see some cool tats that he did too.
Well, he was fire at one point. Fire. What is that?
It's a lever on that chair over there.
I was like, what the It felt like it was deep.
I know. Yeah, it's like,
I was like, is Vinny doing
other
something?
people
Like,
hearing
is
this?
there a ghost in here?
Ron, man, he was a really cool dude.
Ron Bradley, yep. I
liked
tattooed
him a
Ron's
lot.
hand. I know Ron.
I wouldn't. He has a shop somewhere out by a base or something, right? You said.
Yeah, he's in Fort Leonard Wood, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to go say hi to him. He was real nice to me.
Yeah, we could go see Ron. Bro, I saw Ron a few years ago. He was going to rent a place from my grandpa in Moberly. Funny enough, my grandpa's had, Ron didn't rent from him, but Jason Fancher apprenticed that chick that owns the Pastel Devil or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah, Angie.
in my grandpa's building.
Really?
Yeah, my grandpa owns it. My grandpa owned almost all of downtown Moberly because he's from Moberly. Long story.
I feel like people from smaller areas, my girlfriend's family, they're always like, they just own buildings.
He owns. Yeah,
That's how like my girlfriend's family.
I think he only owns 7 now, but
It's like-
he owned 19 of
crazy.
the downtown. Well, it's a long story, but yeah. One other apprentice, you. We're gonna work hard this year. We're gonna travel a lot. Got a lot on our plate this year. Trying to get the shop out there, get them known. Trying to get everybody booked up and blowed up. Trying to attract some new artists. Any new artists that want to change your life, get on the real team.
That's
You know what I'm
real.
talking about? You know what I mean? If you're done making lateral moves, where are you going to work after you work there for 60%? The other place for 60%? I don't know. What's up? We're going to talk about Small Woods Farms.
Yeah, let's talk about some weed. I'm really glad we went in on the origin.
Or do you got more? You got more questions? You want more tattoo questions? I mean,
I'm good.
I got
I'm
more
good.
tattoo for you.
Oh, I know you do. I'm good on that. We can let's talk about the small woods before we wrap it up.
Yeah. So I started Small Woods Farms in on the south side during the pandemic. Seemed like a good time. I've had my cultivation license since it went legal, like immediately that we were available, even though there was no dispensaries or anything, and I wasn't even smoking weed. I got my everything. I got whatever the maximum was I could do. I did it. I got the cultivation license, the caregiver shit. I carried it for a year and couldn't do anything with it really. And then, like I said, when the pandemic happened, I just put shit into gear. We had my boy Jeffrey on here. He invested with me.
Did you know he used to be a hairdresser? He used to be a male hairdresser.
I heard that.
That's wild.
Male hairdresser. Barely could even tell. Yeah, so started that. I guess. Is that 2000? I don't know. That shit's all blur.
2019, 2020.
Yeah. Right after, well, I had my surgery in 2019, I guess, right when I got back from, or right after the first.
Because we were able to get the licenses like right before COVID hit. Because I got mine and then it was like they were on shit open. It just expired without any.
Yeah, but I kept it up and I started growing
should've.
at the house. Yeah, I had to. I had to pivot because of the pandemic. You know, I've been in this business before. Like I said, like, you know, when I was a younger dude, like that's what I did anyway. So I got a felony for possession, and so I put that shit back into work. I've been doing the same thing since the very beginning. We started doing DWC. I thought so I was living in the city, and just maybe to explain to you guys what DWC means is it means deep water culture. And basically I have what's called a RDWC, which is I don't know. I just left out. I don't know. I forgot what the name. I can't remember what the R stands for, but reverse or something. No, it's because recirculating deep water culture. Because I have like pumps and all that shit, so it's like constantly. All of the plants run on all the same stuff, and it's basically these buckets of water that the plants just set in, and they grow their roots in the water, and the water has nutrients in it. The reason why I did that is there were several reasons. I was living on the south side. It was small, and it seemed to me that it would be a lot more discreet to drain water in my basement drain than to like haul out a bunch of dirt and shit out my backyard. Even though I had like a fenced in yard over there, I just didn't need the attention. Mostly just from people. I'm not even tripping on the state or any of that shit no more, or the federal government or none of that shit. They can do whatever. It's just more about like I ain't trying to get robbed by some people on the south side. You know what I mean? So, the DWC is it's not natural. It's, you know, it's growing with nutrients, and it's hydroponic. But again, it's like what it produces, and it's kind of like automated to this, you know, from the very beginning. So like I don't have to put in I put in a lot of work, but I don't know. It just seemed like the way to go for me. It also was going to keep us from having bugs or things that like could be also another problem, you know. I was just trying to eliminate stuff from the very beginning. I had some experience with growing when I was younger, but not really a lot. But my grandfather was a botanist at the University of Missouri, so I've always been around agriculture and growing, and I just always had a green thumb anyway. Not to say that our first grows went like, bro, the first one, we had so many catastrophes, and we had this huge storm that had knocked out the power on the south side for 2 days. And like my whole system is based on power. Like, I went and had to go get ice to try to keep the roots chill, and it was just a nightmare. I may have broke down crying yesterday even. Growing is like tattoo, like so humbling. Which making hash is the same. Like, that's why I'm so obsessed with making hash, is it reminds me a lot of the beginning of tattooing for me. You know, I'm not like a master. Well, not like a master at tattooing, but I'm kind of a master at tattooing at this point. I've been tattooing so long that like it's pretty comfortable for me, and like I can put together a design pretty comfortably, and I feel pretty confident about what it is. And so I don't have like all the challenges I have. Not that it doesn't challenge me to this day, but it's just different, you know. And like when I found like making hash or making rosin, and you know, doing solventless hash was just like so humbling. And it's again, I think it's a lot like tattooing. It's like you have to have good equipment. Yeah, you have to be really patient. You have to get all of the stuff put together right. And most importantly, the plant that you start off with has to be right. It has to be the right genetics, and it has to also be grown right. With a joint with flower, when you're like smoking it, you can hide a lot of stuff. But like when you fucking take the fruit off of the plant and you consume it, whatever that fruit may be, like an orange or, you know, trichomes or an apple or whatever, you taste the real work and the real things that are there. And like, you see it. There's no hiding it. There's no hiding stuff in it. There's no fixing it. It's very, here it is for you. You know what I mean? This is what we got. This is what we ended up with. Hope everybody likes it. It's going to take 4 more months to get us here again. I think to me, that's the most humbling part, is like, you can grow something for 4 months, and then next thing you know, you fucking wash it and you didn't get shit back. It tastes like shit, looks like shit, you know?
Yeah, it really seems like one of those processes where like one little thing goes wrong, it can be a domino effect for everything else down the line that's depending on it.
1000%, much like a tattoo.
Much like tattoos, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe a tattoo's less forgiving, or maybe more forgiving. I mean, the other forgiving, not the less one, the more one. So yeah, I grew over there until I moved out of there, and then like the grows have just steadily gotten bigger. Started making hash. We get probably like the spring of 2020. This little dude got me kind of involved in it. Started washing. We washed some of the stuff we had grown. That was a waste of time.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't grow the genetics that were for hash making, and on top of that, like, I didn't grow it to that quality. So a lot of doing a lot of work that wasn't really like paying off, and spending money building stuff. And so I think it was last October, probably a little bit before then, I had been starting to follow people on the Small Woods Farm page and starting to follow hash makers and shit like this. And I I saw that Bird Extracts was holding like a 2-day educational program in Ukiah or Eureka or somewhere like that. I think it's Ukiah. And so I took the class. I flew out there, stayed on this mountain. It was wild trip. Spent 2 days in this greenhouse with a bunch of other people that were interested in learning how to make hash makers and such. Learning all these techniques. And that's when I had like kind of the real epiphany that the tattoo world and the cannabis world were so close. Because like what it reminded me of was like back when I first started hanging out with Roman, it's like, oh fuck, that's why it looks like that. And like, man, I learned so many tricks from them dudes about like blends and like lighting and all these things that like I couldn't learn anywhere else. And like that's kind of how taking the seminar from Bird was, is I went out there and I fucking blew my mind, all these things that I learned. And I was like, man, there's all these guys that are holding all these like secrets, and they're gonna be releasing them, and like they're gonna be the Nikos and the Romans and the Mike DeVries and like the people of this industry that are gonna like come to the forefront. There's probably people before them that's done it, but like they're kind of in the shadows, like the tattoo world was. There's a lot of great tattooers that just now they're starting to come out as historical tattoo figures,
Yeah.
but like, man, nobody gave a fuck about them dudes. You know what I mean? And like, now you're starting to see like hash makers become like famous kind of too. You know what I mean? Speaking of rosin, about to do this dab.
What do you got there? With the point break still?
Black maple. Dogman. I watched some stuff for Routine Gardens.
I heard.
It did good too. The Devil Driver did 5.5 so far. I think it's actually going to push almost 6% because we still got a few more things to like calculate.
Boo tried some of that stuff. I don't know, like from I guess the first time you guys did it together, maybe. He was saying it was good. Hung out with him yesterday.
Well, Chris really brought me a batch. I still got 7 more days of watching. Not 7, but several more days of watching. His Devil Driver's doing numbers. Woo, it's fire looking too. Smells like fire.
He grows some pretty weed.
We smoked on some of that, what was it we had? Or the wedding cake, or I forgot what it was. I can't remember. It was, I keep wanting to say, Sunday Driver. Yeah, I had some Sunday Driver we smoked earlier.
What was that, like a tropical cherry? Was that, or?
Drop Cherry. I'm washing some of that for him.
My dad loves that.
Your dad would shit if he saw how much I got sitting in my freezer right now.
He loves that stuff.
Well, you can't even smoke it now. Now it's going. Well, you can only smoke it as hash.
He been getting them Captain Mo Green pre-rolls. I've been loving them too.
This would be a good time. Yeah, Captain Mo Green going to be at the event next month.
Yes, you will.
The inaugural, the first guest.
Edison Tattoo Expo, February 18 and 19.
Yep, right here, St. Charles Rock Road. February 18th, 19th. RX Lounge. RX Loft. Is our partner on that. Emporium. Sunshine Daydream. They are one of our sponsors.
Okay.
Oh my God. Nico Cray will be there doing a glass demo. Your own Matt Thornton will be there.
Yeah.
passing out tattoos. Your own Bowser will be there.
I'll be there.
Hey, it's Bowser.
That's a cat. I like when you say, "It's your boy Bow."
Boy.
I like the bow bow. It's very catchy. I find myself saying that in my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn it. Anytime I hear the word boy, I'm like, is that our boy Bow Bow?
It's your boy. That stuff happened organically. That's all just
I like
around
it.
the shop.
I like it.
Man. Yeah, that's going to be a fire event. We're almost about a month out now. Oh man.
Yeah, definitely make sure if you're hearing this, definitely make sure you get out to that show.
You hear me coughing?
There'll be lots of good stuff there in the cannabis and tattoo world for sure.
We got Tattoo the Lose in May, yeah.
Tattoo Lou in May. Yep.
Well, LT. He's got a bug in his throat.
Oh man, I can't get it to stop. I hate it when it's like this.
Cough
And
so
I'm
low.
hot as fuck. Yeah, so I started making hash about the end of 2020 and went to that class. I had that epiphany. I put together a class called Ice Water Cultivators. And we were supposed to have like 7 of the world's best hash makers come here for like 3 days and put on a class, but I couldn't get enough people to pay for it. So I ended up having to do it refund. I refund everybody. Oh my God.
Medic.
Good Lord.
What doesn't kill you?
Only makes you double.
Well. Any final shout outs as we're coming towards the end, Bowser, that you'd like to rep or talk about?
Shout outs. I would like to shout out the entire state of Vermont and the maple industry.
Oh,
We're
man.
crushing the maple game in the Northeast right now. So, no shout outs.
Tell us about, how long have you been smoking weed?
Oh man, let's see. I'm 42 now. Smoked since I was probably about 15. But I don't smoke like these guys smoke. I say I'm a weed smoker, but I'm like smoke when I get home.
I got to be like in my underwear at home.
It's a perfect kind of situation. Like if these guys
in a good mood.
I did a dab with LT at his house the other day, and I think I'm still high.
I would disintegrate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm just not built like that. I can't hang with guys from the RX loft. These guys that are in this hash culture, like, oh my God, I can't believe the clouds they blow. Like, I'd be just on the couch.
I'm like, where's the one hitter?
It's the couch culture for me. But it's
Good
cool.
Lord.
It's graduated so much for above and beyond like what I'll grind it and roll it and smoke a joint.
I'd get those Captain Mo Green pre-rolls. I love them. I love a pre-roll, a good pre-roll joint.
Absolutely.
And I'm like one hit. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm high.
Yeah, I mean, I can make a joint last me a couple days.
Yeah.
Like I'm that smoker. So I'm definitely not the foremost voice. on
Will
weed
you
culture.
take a dab in honor of your first appearance on the podcast
Will I take a dab?
with LT?
Holy shit! Well, I mean,
Feel no obligation.
he's giving rave reviews right now. Like it's like
Want to cough for the next
somebody
26
dies
minutes?
and they're like, "You want some of this?" And
You got me on that one.
Oh my God. I'm back.
And
Kinda.
we're back.
you're
I
back.
look like this cup.
Red Solo.
God damn. Fuck.
We're glad you're still here, man.
What was I talking about? Took that class, Bird. Came back.
You were saying about how you had the event and then you...
I had ice water cultivators, and I didn't have it. We had to cancel it. It was a bummer, but it is what it was. I just been working hard, networking in that industry. That's what, like, again, I don't know. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? Like, and like, even though I was kind of bringing it here and putting it on a platter for everybody, like, they couldn't realize that, like, $1,000 to have 7 of the best people here for 3 days could change your whole life. And like, anybody around here too, like, you know, just makes sense to fly in and do the class. But it didn't work out. And, but like, I don't, like, for me, what worked out is I networked with all those people. So like, now I know all those people. And like, I've had them critique stuff for me. You know, I stay connected with them. It's going to be good for Smallwoods Farms in the future. I just know it will be. And then we're doing the cannabis tattoo event, which I think is, I mean, maybe that's what I should have did from the beginning. It's definitely going to knock it out of the park. I've got so many people still wanting interest in it.
Yeah, it's got good legs so far.
So I've been growing, and specifically for hash, almost ever since that, when I came back from that event. We still had like flower genetics that we were still fucking with and like kind of fucking around, but like over the last year I've focused really hard on trying to get us like genetics that is specifically for making rosin. So that for me has really stepped up my game. And just like I was saying before, like a lot like tattooing, man, I'm real focused on these things. I like watch these hash talks every night. This dude named James Wellborn fucking has all of the best hash makers in the world, like on his fucking Instagram every night. And I sit around and listen and watch that shit while I'm either drawing or cooking or whatever I'm doing, right? Like, just like if, you know, I listen to a podcast of Dip and Rip, you know what I mean? It's just what I'm into right now. I want to be the best at it. I want to grow the best. And like, yeah, I just want to be fucking the best at it, you know? And like trying to merge these two cultures. I mean, obviously I have weed leaves on my face. I've been in the fucking weed game my whole life. Like my whole head tattoo is really weed smoke, money, and hoes. Like, that's really what it is. Like, there's a woman on there and on money and yeah, bro. Weed smoke. Like, that's what it's always been. So, yeah, just we got a lot of stuff up for this year. I'm doing some breeding. Basically, I'm doing all of this stuff called Little Lake Valley Seed Co. I've said it several times on here. The dude's like bread for hash. Nobody around here I know is really using it. So I bought a whole bunch of his genetics, and now I'm like breeding it back to itself. So I've got like the seed stock, and then I'm also breeding other stuff together with his stuff. I'm collecting the pollen. So in a year or so, I'll probably have some strains out that nobody really else has because I will have made them. And that's what I'm kind of trying to do is like find something that's like really unique, produces a lot, obviously, and that'll just keep me on edge with some stuff, you know, in the business, I think, you know, because right now it's all about unique tastes and smells, and the more unique and the more often you can bring new stuff to the table, the better it gets, seems like.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that stuff is very strong.
It is very strong. Got a lot of cannabis events coming up. Like I said, just putting in a lot of work. So that's probably, really, that's about up to now, I think. Like,
You're going on the road too for tattooing as well, though, aren't you? You going out?
yeah. I'm going to Humboldt.
Humboldt, yeah.
I'm going to do that the beginning of next month. Me and my apprentice, or my friend Hookah. She's gonna meet me there, and we're gonna do the convention. Then we're gonna drive down to LA, see some people along the way. Probably see Bird Extracts and Rackhams, and I'm gonna try to stop at Little Lake Valley Seco, and just try to stop at Heritage. Try to meet some of the people really, really in person. Then I'm coming back here. We got the event at the end of February. Then
February 18, 19.
Then March, you guys go to Detroit.
Yep.
You, Kaylee,
River City.
Dusty, and Mick Monahan from California is going to come meet you guys. And then
White Widow Gallery.
me and Christina are going to Mississippi to do the Due South.
There you go, Due South.
Matt Stebley. Actually, I gotta get my paperwork in. Sorry, Matt. And then come back here, and then April, Toledo. The whole shop goes to Toledo, like 21st through the 23rd. And then I'm gonna stay in Akron for like 4 days afterwards and hang out with Nathan Evans. I'm gonna go over and meet them. I may be going to Mothership on 420 and then just flying from Washington to Toledo, like in a 1 day trip, kind of wild type shit. And then we come back here and we got Tattoo the Lou in May. And then we have, I think, Fort Wayne is in August. And probably going to chill here a lot during the summer. But I know that I want to wrap up the end of the summer with going to Europe. I want to do the Amsterdam show. Probably going to try to get Kaylee to come out there. And I might even do like a little guest spot, like when I'm over there somewhere. But I really want to promote the shop internationally, even. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna do a lot of social media promotion this year. Like I'm gonna go hard in the fucking paint. Then I got an art show coming up. I haven't completely announced yet, and that'll be on the Saturday of the Tattoo the Lou. I can't tell you all the details about it, but
It's shaping up to be pretty cool, though.
it's gonna be okay. It's gonna cross some lines in a few different worlds, so I'm really stoked. I can't wait to announce it. Actually, I gotta get Chris out. I need to make an appointment with Chris to come out to film me, and I want to do a little bit of video footage out at my boy's place so that we can make some reels for the promotion of that thing in advance. And that'll be Saturday night of Tattoo the Lou. I think it'll be May 13th, if I'm correct. And we're going to have a full-on dab bar here. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a great art show. I'm really, like I said, I'm super stoked because I ain't really done no art in a minute. Not like this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's going to be cool. From what you told me.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm so fucking excited to announce it, but I can't right now. I need to make sure that me and him are all ready to announce it before I do that. But it's going to be sick, I think. I know it's going to be. But yeah, man, I think that's a wrap for us.
Live from the what's this area?
The GRV.
The GRV.
GRV from TTL.
Yeah. From TTLS.
In the 314.
TLS, baby.
Yeah.
Shop tat. There you guys go. I just gifted you.
Just
GRV.
gifted it right there.
Thank you for listening. Rate and review only if it's good.
Yeah.
5 stars.
We're going to cut it out, but man, I almost puked. I coughed so hard. It's red like this solo cup.
That'd be bonus content for the Patreon.
Gee, it's on.